The other protagonists rely on unexpected events for their time travel, while Chen Mo's time travel requires spelling 8 characters. While the other protagonists frantically complete system tasks to enhance their strength, Chen Mo is constantly writing cheats called Golden Fingers to help people from other worlds improve their strength. This system is not very effective. When the system's capabilities required Chen Mo to write them himself, and Chen Mo successfully loaded the auxiliary gold finger he wrote onto the group of starving extraterrestrial people and confirmed that they could also use it, Chen Mo said he realized it. Chen Mo is the cheating supplier for this group of outsiders. Of course, providing cheating assistance while also enhancing one's own strength by 1 billion points is also a reward that cheating suppliers deserve. Chapter 1. Under the Tiger Hedge. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. An unknown mountain top. Surrounded by mountains and waters, with lush greenery, the nearby spring is crystal clear, resembling a fairyland on Earth. The occasional chirping of birds and insects from around highlights a strong natural atmosphere. If we really want to make a comparison, Chen Mo estimates that the scenery here can easily surpass any 5A scenic spot in the world. Unfortunately, apart from the traces left by Chen Mo, there were no traces of human activity within a few miles. No, strictly speaking, Chen Mo is not sure if there are any other human beings in this world. At noon, Chen Mo stared intently at the river, holding a handmade fishing rod in his hand, preparing for the next lunch. There are many river fish, but they just don't bite the hook, which may be due to the poor quality of the simple fish hook, which makes Chen Mo feel a bit helpless. After sitting empty for almost an hour, there was still no harvest. Not far away, there is a tiger lying on the grass, with a body length of over 3 meters and a white background with black stripes. It is lazily basking in the sun, creating an inexplicable sense of harmony between humans and tigers. For a long time, Tiger's eyes scanned the sun, slowly got up, walked behind Chen Mo, stretched out paws the size of a fan, and poked Chen Mo. Don't make a fuss. I promise to treat you to fish, I'll keep my word. A disdainful gaze appeared in the tiger's eyes, its mouth opened, and an energy ball crashed into the water. In an instant, the river exploded, causing huge splashes of water and floating large areas of river fish, resulting in an immediate effect. I don't need your help. Chen Mo looked unhappy. As a great young man of the 21st century, he had to be raised by a white tiger when he came to a different world, which was a great shame. The roar of a tiger carries a hint of urging. Chen Mo sighed and jumped into the river to scoop up the stunned river fish, throwing them onto the shore. The river fish piled up into a small mountain. If you're not satisfied, you still have to eat. Quickly processing the river fish, Chen Mo skillfully strung it up and placed it on the campfire, flipping the grilled fish and placing some sun-dried and ground low-grade spices next to it. Life, there must be some pursuit. Although a tiger may only use Chen Mo as a backup dim sum, thanks to the white tiger, Chen Mo can survive from this dangerous place. Of course. If it's not easy to be under someone else's fence, then being under a tiger's fence is simply terrible. Thinking about his experiences over the past half-month, Chen Mo had an urge to cry. Glancing at the tiger head lying on the side, Chen silently flipped the grilled fish over and sprinkled spices before continuing to grill. If I could bribe this white tiger with my cooking skills, it would be great. According to the preliminary judgment, Bai Hu is quite satisfied with Chen Mo's cooking skills. It should be that he has removed Chen Mo from the status of standby dim sum. Congratulations and congratulations. Of course, relying solely on cooking skills is not enough to completely deal with this white tiger. If we add the profession of a wet nurse, then there will be no problem at all. A wet nurse is just a literal wet nurse, not a wet nurse who nurtures this white tiger. That's right. Chen Mo has traveled through time. And it was also the kind of time travel that accompanied my own body, and I proudly became the private nanny of a certain tiger. The process of time travel is indescribable, and it feels quite ordinary, like falling from the second floor to the first floor, while Chen Mo falls directly into the tiger hole from his bedroom. Sparks and lightning all the way, falling directly into the tiger hole. It's quite like taking one step to the stomach. The reason for crossing was being struck by lightning, not just ordinary lightning, but by a spherical lightning that floated behind me at an unknown time. This luck is simply amazing. From the excited state of playing games to the excited state of human-tiger confrontation in an instant, the scene transition was too fast, and Chen Mo's mind didn't even react. From face-to-face interaction between humans and computers, to face-to-face interaction between humans and white tigers, the scene transition takes less than 3 seconds. One person and one tiger are all confused. If it weren't for the tiger being seriously injured, Chen Mo estimated that he would have transformed into tiger food at that time, with no bones left. Chen Mo couldn't figure it out. How unlucky should a person be to be struck by the spherical lightning that floats into their home? Is it difficult to achieve success because of cheating while playing games? Not so much, right? Besides, the pastor cheat can at most be considered an auxiliary, okay? And with so many people cheating, why did Chen Mo cross over? Because of cheating, I was struck by lightning and brought the priest's auxiliary cheat over. Logically, it seems reasonable, but Chen Mo just wants to ask, can we bring all the cheats? Is it just a usable auxiliary skill or a healing technique? Are you serious? Using healing techniques and white tiger fights. What's up? What about using therapeutic techniques to boost mood while eating a white tiger? If it weren't for the wolf pack attacking at a critical moment, Chen Mo estimated that he would be the dinner of a dying white tiger first. That night, under immense survival pressure, the humans and tigers began to cooperate for the first time. With the advantageous terrain of the small white tiger cave, each person and tiger stayed up all night until the wolf pack retreated in the morning. White tiger has great wisdom and knows the importance of being a wet nurse. He even blocked Chen Mo's sharp wolf teeth during critical moments, which Tiger Pin truly said. And Chen Mo also felt that the treatment technique without cooling or blue bars was really effective. After the wolf pack retreated, Chen Mo, who had never experienced such stimulation before, suddenly relaxed his tense nerves and fainted. Awakening again, there was a bloody piece of meat next to it, which was taken care of by the elder brother. White Tiger stood guard at the entrance of the cave. In the distant shadows, there is a faint wolf pack watching. The wolf pack seems to have no intention of giving up the opportunity to kill the tiger, and Chen Mo naturally does not intend to sit idly by. The two sides began to deadlock. Until the Wolf King could no longer bear it and began attacking, the battle erupted again. However, Chen Mo is a wet nurse who uses the invisible blue bar's instant healing technique to crazily brush the healing technique on White Tiger. That time, the White Tiger not only repelled the wolf pack, but also successfully killed a fierce Wolf King, and the wolf pack's sharpness was completely contained. The days have temporarily settled down. Occasionally, there are wolf packs attacking, but with the cooperation of one person and one tiger, it is not a big deal. Roar! The deep roar of the White Tiger rang out. Chen Mo did not understand the roar of the tiger, but he understood the meaning behind the roar of the White Tiger. The salt has already been added. Roar! It's very troublesome to extract refined salt by boiling with water, and your broken salt or content is too low. Roar! Okay, listen to you and add some salt. Chen Mo picked up a small pinch of salt and sprinkled it on the grilled fish. There was nothing Chen Mo wanted to say about the White Tiger next to him, which had turned into sperm. The White Tiger, apart from not being able to speak, is really similar to a tiger spirit. At this point, Chen Mo just wanted to say that the other world is not fun at all, and if he accidentally dies. Eating the plump grilled fish, Chen Mo began to contemplate his next plans. White Tiger's territory is only about 10 kilometers away and is adjacent to the neighboring wolf pack. Due to territorial conflicts, they have to fight every 3 to 5 days. Previously, the white tiger and the wolf pack should have been in a state of equal strength. Since the wolf queen also successfully advanced, the white tiger has been in a state of being suppressed by the double wolf kings. It was not until Chen Mo arrived that there was a turning point in this situation. These are all Chen Mo's speculations, but they are also closely related. Since the death of the wolf king, White Tiger has once again fallen into a balance of power with another pack of wolves led by the mother wolf king, and the two sides continue to become deadlocked. This is what Chen Mo guessed from White Tiger's reaction. The levels of White Tiger and Wolf King are similar, at most slightly higher than Wolf King. If it were always the double Wolf King, White Tiger wouldn't be able to hold on until Chen Mo arrives. I have eaten grilled fish. Chen Mo started drawing on the ground. Both the right and rear are the locations of the wolf pack. Chen Mo is not sure about the breed of the wolf, but some powerful wolves can emit wind blades from their mouths, which is similar to the energy ball emitted by the white tiger. As for the front and left sides, Chen Mo wanted to explore, but was stopped by Bai Hu. Obviously, there are more ruthless forces in the other two directions. Chen Mo roughly understood the reason why Bai Hu, who had suffered such a serious injury before, didn't escape because he couldn't escape at all. In summary, it's completely impossible to leave here, and it's even more unrealistic to open the space channel and go back. I don't have the ability or means. Unless Chen Mo can become a practitioner, he may not be able to leave this forest. Unfortunately, there is no way for Chen Mo to practice here, and even more so for Bai Hu. The only golden finger is the level 1 healing spell without cooldown and blue bars, and there are also some other priest skills, but they are all in a gray state. There are no unlocked skill tasks, no methods to improve strength, nothing, just an auxiliary panel, cleaner than a face. What a damn nonsense. Chen Mo lay on the grass, biting the grass roots and following the white tiger to bask in the sun. It's not that Chen Mo has never thought about exploring the method of breathing, but he has also tried it. However, his brain is almost suffocated and he hasn't studied the method of absorbing and refining spiritual energy. Having traveled for half a month without achieving anything, Chen Mo still had to be protected by the white tiger. He felt ashamed of the traveler. White tiger, do you think there are humans in this world? Now trapped in this haunted place, Chen Mo feels that his chances of returning are slim. Although as an orphan, living anywhere doesn't have much impact, it can be quite frustrating to think about staying on this dilapidated mountain for a lifetime. Roar. The white tiger roared lightly, with a hint of humanized inquiry in its eyes. Chen Mo once again sighed in his heart, this pitted world where all things can become essence. Chen Mo stood at the highest point of the mountain and looked at it. At the end of his line of sight was a continuous forest, and he couldn't see the end at a glance. It was estimated that the number of warcraft could not be counted. To leave this forest, one can only spell 8 characters. Or can it be said that understanding the correct way to use the priest's auxiliary golden finger and relying on sacrificial flow and infinite healing to forcibly leave this forest? I always feel like something's not quite right. Based on Chen Mo's understanding of pastor assistance. If the priest assists the golden finger to fully open, it can indeed achieve the level of feeding all the monsters along the way and rushing out of this forest. But Chen Mo estimated that he was more likely to become a lifelong food for a powerful monster. Food is renewable, and for the powerful monsters that have become refined in this forest, it is likely to be tempting. After thinking about it, it's better to forget it. This road is impassable. Glancing at the sun again, Chen Mo decided to carefully study the pastor-assisted cheat next. In the absence of any opportunities in cultivation, the pastor's assistance in cheating is the only direction for Chen Mo's future development. Don't ask for anything else, even if you unlock a few more skills. Since the death of the Wolf King, the frequency of wolf pack attacks has also decreased, indicating concerns about a 1.1.1 counterattack. Normally, this should be done to teach the wolf pack a lesson, but Chen Mo is currently not in this mood. Chen Mo wants to establish a firm foothold with Bai Hu here first, and then settle accounts with the wolf pack after the overall strength is further improved. At the very least, let Chen Mo first understand the priest's assistance to this golden finger. Brushing a treatment technique on himself casually, the white light penetrated his body. Chen Mo carefully observed the system panel and there was no response. Chen Mo was not particularly surprised by this. If this broken pastor assistance system were really so useful, Chen Mo would have understood it long ago and there was no need to wait until now. Next, Chen Mo plans to make a bold attempt to verify whether his previous conjecture is correct. When facing the double Wolf King crisis before, Chen Mo seemed to have seen the experience bar. Maybe you'll only experience it when you actually treat the injury. Since the Wolf King was caught by the White Tiger and had the opportunity to kill one head, each person and tiger have never been injured again, and the healing spell no longer works for a person and tiger in full condition. Thinking of this, Chen Mo turned his gaze to the river fish that had already jumped motionless on the nearby grass. I don't know if it's due to the abundance of spiritual energy, but all living beings in this world have exceptionally strong vitality. It's very unscientific to find the river fish still alive after being caught from the river for so long and exposed to the sun for several hours. Without much thought, Chen Mo turned to the river fish on the grass and continuously applied healing techniques, carefully observing the possible changes on the panel. After observing for a long time, Chen Mo sighed and realized that it was not so easy. Bai Hu glanced at the river fish jumping on the grass, and his eyes showed a humanistic concern towards Chen Mo. I'm just conducting an experiment. Regardless of whether Bai Hu could understand, Chen Mo began to continue the experiment. Perhaps it's due to insufficient treatment volume. After all, healing is essentially a healing skill, and river fish only lack water, not vitality. Chen Mo needs an excellent experimental subject. White Tiger is not suitable, and Chen Mo cannot defeat White Tiger either. If he were to harm himself while conducting the experiment, Chen Mo couldn't bear to give himself such a blow. If that group of wind wolves were to be attacked, Chen Mo could neither fight nor catch them. Chen Mo is just an ordinary person, and catching wolves is beyond his own ability limit. What should we do? The surrounding area is the territory of the White Tiger, and other small animals dare not approach here. The White Tiger is not an ordinary tiger. It can spit out energy balls and shoot down flying birds in the air. Small animals often sense the scent of the White Tiger and run away. Those who dare to approach, Chen Mo's side cannot fight. It's really an unsolvable problem. Is it really necessary to experiment with oneself? Will you be mocked by this White Tiger for doing this? Chen Mo fell into a brief entanglement. Finally, Chen Mo turned his gaze to Bai Hu, and at the critical moment, he still had to embrace his thighs. Next is the time for human-tiger communication. It took nearly an hour, and Chen Mo used various imitations to finally make Bai Hu understand his meaning. The White Tiger lived up to its expectations and in less than a minute, it picked up a dying antelope. Truly, 1 hour of communication and 1 minute of work. Chen Mo was overjoyed and quickly tied it with a homemade vine rope. This was the next test item, and he couldn't just run away like this. The reason why we only started the experiment today is because Chen Mo had high hopes of conducting the experiment before producing simple tools. I really don't want to admit it, but I have to recognize reality. That's in this world, Chen Mo can't even catch a rabbit, and his daily life relies on his big brother to cover it up. The creatures in this world are a bit outrageous, probably because spiritual energy can nourish the body. Each creature is truly terrifying, whether it is strength or speed, it is not as simple as it appears on the surface. To be ashamed, on the first day of harmonious coexistence between humans and tigers, Chen Mo almost died in the belly of a fish. At the critical moment, he relied entirely on his elder brother's crucial claw, otherwise he would have been handed over to the river. This is why Chen Mo was fishing and White Tiger was guarding beside him before. After all, his own chef and wet nurse is a weak chicken, and as the big brother, by who still needs to cover up some of his younger brothers. Chapter 2. Handwritten Cheat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lift your hand and perform 2 therapeutic surgeries. The white therapeutic light has penetrated into the antelope's body, and the originally dying antelope's wound quickly heals, resulting in outstanding therapeutic effects. Chen Mo did not pay attention to the current state of the antelope. Instead, focus all your attention on observing the changes in the priest's auxiliary panel. Sure enough. As the healing technique took effect, 2 tiny icons appeared on the priest's assist panel and quickly disappeared. There's a play. Chen Mo's spirit was shaken. The long strip with a grid at the top should be similar to an experience bar, and it just increased by 2 points. Just now Chen Mo used 2 healing techniques, and the originally gray experience bar lit up 2 yellow-green squares. Judging from Chen Mo's gaming experience, the attribute represented by this icon should be the experience bar. When the gray experience bar grid is filled with experience light points, there may be some changes in the priest's assistance. It is unknown whether it will unlock skills or improve healing effects. Chen Mo was a bit excited. It was indeed the wrong way to open it before, but now this is the correct way to open it. As long as you can upgrade, it means there is hope to leave here. Since the icon above represents experience points, what about the other icon? I have applied another treatment technique. While the icon was still present, Chen Mo attempted to quickly click on another plus sign icon. The screen switches instantly. Then, Chen Mo stayed in place. The exceptionally familiar interface made Chen Mo feel that his brain was not enough for a moment. I can't even believe my own eyes. He pinched himself hard, and Chen Mo confirmed the reality. It was not a daze. Chen Mo saw the source code programming interface, and even a virtual keyboard interface appeared next to it. The cursor on the code interface flickered, indicating that it could be edited at any time, and the name on it was Pastor Assistant. The corner of my mouth couldn't help but twitch slightly. At this moment, Chen Mo's mind was filled with only one thought. Are you really teasing me? Is it okay for Chen Mo to write his own cheat, as other travelers carry the heavenly gold finger with them? What kind of bizarre operation is this? Big brother, are you serious? Chen Mo fell into a brief silence. After a long time, Chen Mo finally came to his senses. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't sit idly by. After all, he had to give it a try. So now the problem arises. Chen Mo's understanding of his programming skills is simply indescribable. To put it nicely, I have some understanding, but to put it bluntly, I don't even have an introduction. For a moment, Chen Mo felt a bit confused. What should he do next? Chen Mo really didn't expect to encounter such a situation. With the help of cheating, there is no need for certain skills. With a flash of inspiration, Chen Mo thought of something. My gaze quickly became firm, and upon careful consideration, it seemed that there was not a complete lack of opportunity. I could learn on my own. I remember there are still a bunch of programming books piled up in the corner of Tiger Cave. Those books were accidentally dropped by Chen Mo when he fell into the tiger hole, and were used by Chen Mo as a pillow and bedding tool. Looking back now, it's fortunate that it wasn't used to start a fire at that time. Sure enough, there is no way out of heaven. A while ago, I heard that the profession of programming ape offers a very lucrative salary, so Chen Mo had some ideas. He had bought some programming books and originally planned to self-study through online tutorials, but in the end, he became addicted to playing games. After a slight sigh, Chen Mo walked into the tiger cave and set his gaze on a programming book in the corner. Even in a different world, learning programming is inevitable, and Chen Mo didn't know what to say for a moment. Is it difficult for oneself to really have to be this programming ape? At present, it seems that Chen Mo has only this option. Is this considered lucky or unfortunate? And can the program written by oneself really be used as a cheat? I heard that self-learning programming is difficult. Can you learn it yourself? Chen Mo was a bit confused for a while. But now that things have come to an end, we still need to give it a try. Now Chen Mo has nothing else to do, it's okay to give it a try. A month ago, Chen Mo also had a programming ape dream. He wanted to learn a craft to support himself and bought a lot of books for it. However, Chen Mo overestimated his self-control. The programming book has been sitting next to the computer all along, and when I first bought it, I spent a few days reading it with 3 minutes of enthusiasm. Afterwards, I became immersed in the gaming world and couldn't extricate myself. Based on the current situation, Chen Mo needs to start learning programming again. If you write your own top-level assistance and it runs perfectly, you may not necessarily be unable to return to Earth. However, prior to this, Chen Mo honestly provided a backup of the pastor's assistance with this golden finger. Be careful to sail a ship that will last for thousands of years. If nothing unexpected happens, before Chen Mo writes any other cheat assistance, he still needs to rely on the support of a pastor, and the pastor's assistance is indeed very powerful. If fully developed, it will definitely save his life. If he can be compatible with other cheat programs in the future, Chen Mo will definitely take off in place and cross different worlds is not a dream. Thinking of this, Chen Mo felt a little excited in his heart, and success or failure depended on this one move. 2 months later, Chen Mo looked at the simple code he was planning to test run, feeling a little uneasy inside. The new cheat code is indeed a bit rudimentary, and can't even be said to be on the stage. But this is a very bold attempt, and if successful, Chen Mo can directly break away from the level of weak chickens. If it fails, Chen Mo will have to rely on the pastor's assistance to survive in the future. To be honest, Chen Mo does not want to survive in a foreign world as a pastor. The possibility of leaving this forest with the assistance of a pastor is too small. The code written by Chen Mo is very simple, and there are also some healing code copied from the neighboring priest's assistance. The code is easy to run, after all, it's just a simple attempt. A successful healing technique that triggers a special effect will increase Chen Mo's strength to the innate stage. This is a one-time auxiliary cheat that cannot be reused after being used once. As long as it runs successfully, Chen Mo can break through to the innate stage. Try taking some risks, and if successful, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can not only confirm that writing a cheat program can be used, but also determine whether the previous speculation about the cultivation system in another world is correct. The reason for choosing the innate stage is simply because Chen Mo guesses that the white tiger is in the innate stage realm. Whether it is this realm or not will only be known after trying. Moreover, if he rashly elevates his realm too much, Chen Mo is also afraid of his own accidents. It's just an innate period, and in some novels, the innate period is just a non-mainstream realm, so there shouldn't be any major problems. Thinking of this, Chen Mo directly loaded new gold finger. There were no unexpected incidents, and the new auxiliary loading was successful. It is a villain icon, surrounded by flames, as if practicing. The introduction is also very straightforward, which is to enhance strength. Success or failure lies in this one move. Chen Mo directly clicked on the switch, and the priest's assistance panel disappeared. Instead, a more concise system panel with only one healing technique was created. Glancing at the newly caught antelope not far away, Chen Mo gritted his teeth and directly released the healing technique. The treatment technique was successfully used. Boom! As if an explosion had occurred in his mind, Chen Mo's mind went blank, and then countless white mist began to rush towards him in the surrounding world. The white tiger next to him stood up directly, his tiger eyes vigilantly looking around. Breaking through to the innate stage does not require crossing the thunder tribulation, but it will definitely cause the surrounding creatures to besiege. Breaking through the innate period means requiring more cultivation resources, which will greatly squeeze the living space of surrounding species. Leaving aside other species, White Tiger knows that the neighboring Wind Wolf will definitely not sit idly by and watch his little brother break through. Although I don't know what's going on with my little brother, breakthrough is breakthrough. White Tiger needs to protect me next. A large amount of spiritual energy converged and squeezed into Chen Mo's dantian, finally forming an incredibly pure energy in the dantian. After rapidly circulating around Chen Mo's body meridians for a few times, this energy began to move inch by inch on Chen Mo's body like a venomous snake, breaking through the unique washing of meridians and marrow during the innate period. The pain, like countless cuts, made Chen Mo open his eyes instantly. Oh no! Chen Mo's eyes were full of blood, and his eyeballs were almost protruding. The extreme pain left Chen Mo with only one thought: to bite his tongue and commit suicide. Just as Chen Mo was about to bite his tongue and commit suicide, the steel-like tiger tail of a white tiger struck heavily on the back of Chen Mo's head, causing him to lose consciousness in an instant. Wolves howled one after another around. The tiger's fierce eyes scanned the dense wolf pack around it, and the white tiger let out a roar that echoed through the mountain. Roar! The massive tiger roar spreads, exuding a powerful aura, and the tiger claws emit a cold light. The response to the white tiger was a continuous howl of wolves, as well as an almost insane pack of wolves. Originally, the overall strength of the wolf pack was not as good as that of White Tiger and Chen Mo combined. If Chen Mo successfully broke through, the wolf pack would be completely destroyed. It was precisely because of this that the Wolf King called on all wolf packs to attack fiercely and fearlessly. White Tiger quickly picked up Chen Mo and threw him towards the tiger cave, then stood guard full at the entrance. Before Chen Mo broke through his innate period, all white tigers needed to guard here. This was a tough battle, with success leading to the extinction of the wolf pack and failure leading to the death of the human tiger. The law of the jungle is the law of the jungle. The wolf pack's goal is very clear, and they will spare no effort to kill Chen Mo, who is currently in a breakthrough state. This is also the only opportunity for the wolf pack to turn things around. Wind blades flew towards the white tiger one by one. The white tiger dodged sensitively and quickly counterattacked. The energy ball in its mouth exploded among the wolf pack. Chen Mo was awakened by the roar of a tiger. He sat up with a conditioned reflex and heard the dense howling of wolves outside the cave, his face slightly darkened. I don't have time to check my own changes. Chen Mo directly grabbed the stone stick and rushed out. If Bai Hu lost, Chen Mo was sure he wouldn't survive for half a day. As soon as Chen Mo stepped out of the tiger hole, he saw the white tiger. There are many marks of being bitten by sharp teeth on the body of the white tiger. The wound oozes blood, and the white tiger has also turned into a red tiger. The tiger's eyes emit a sharp light. When Chen Mo's breakthrough is over, the white tiger directly charges towards the wolf pack. Chen Mo broke through, so White Tiger naturally didn't have to continue guarding the cave entrance. A counterattack was necessary. 2 innate periods are enough to pacify a pack of wind wolves. Returning to the pastor's assistance, Chen Mo repeatedly applied healing techniques, and several white lights penetrated the body of the white tiger. The wounds on the white tiger healed at a visible speed, and the breath on the white tiger's body was even stronger. A wolf howl came from afar. A pack of wolves began to retreat. Chen Mo glanced coldly at the retreating wolf pack and said, "Brother Tiger, it's time to calculate the total account." Chen Mo rushed towards the wolf pack at lightning speed, and the white tiger on the side also behaved the same way. Now that Chen Mo has successfully broken through his innate period, he can completely destroy the wolf pack this time. Feng Shui takes turns. Previously, the wolf pack had 2 innate wolf kings who almost killed the white tiger. Today, it's time for the wind wolf to feel the pain of being chased. The battle lasted all night. 1 person and 1 tiger stood on the rocks, watching the sky turn white with fish bellies. The purge has come to a complete end. Chen Mo threw away the broken stone stick in his hand and often breathed a sigh of relief. This stone stick contains metal and is very tough. It was brought by Chen Mo for self-defense. It was used up in a fierce battle overnight. Blood stains were everywhere around, and the bodies of the wolf pack were scattered throughout the mountains and fields. Not far away was the body of the last-born Wind Wolf King. A few scattered Wind Wolves escaped, but it didn't cause much harm. The territory of Wind Wolf can now be officially incorporated into the territory of White Tiger. After completely calming down, Chen Mo finally noticed his image. The surface of the skin is covered in black stains, with a strange odor, like toxins excreted by the body. The outermost layer is the blood of the Wind Wolf, and the whole person seems to have undergone a plasma coating. For a moment, Chen Mo couldn't accept it in his heart. After washing for a whole hour, Chen Mo finally walked out of the river. At this point, Chen Mo had time to observe his own changes. You can feel that there is an energy in your body that flows along the meridians, which should be innate true qi. But Chen Mo has both good and bad news here. Good news. I successfully broke through to the innate stage. Although the process was a bit complicated, it was successful, which means that Chen Mo guessed correctly that this should be the world of cultivation. Bad news. It may be due to cheating, as there is a faint tingling sensation when the true qi flows through the meridians. It should be due to not practicing from scratch and relying on cheating to enhance strength, resulting in damage to the meridians. Chen Mo is not sure if the damage to the meridians can be solved, and he currently has no solution, but he should be able to fix it with a cheat. Handwritten cheats can be used, which is good news. By finding a way to cultivate this major direction, we can almost finalize it. One thing to pay extra attention to is that even if Chen Mo can write a cheat that goes against the sky, he cannot use it casually. Relying on the cheat to climb to the sky in one step is definitely a huge pit. Chen Mo still feels a bit scared from the feeling of washing marrow and cutting bones before. Playing like this is really deadly. Traditional sentiments kill people. That is to say, the next step in writing a cheat is definitely not to use this type of cheat that directly enhances strength. One step up to heaven is highly likely to become one step up to heaven. And next, we need to find a way to solve the problem of meridian pain, which is ultimately a hidden danger. In the blank understanding of cultivation, Chen Mo can only seek stability on his side. With the assistance of cheating, he can definitely stand at the top of the mainland. Of course, the premise of all this is that Chen Mo cannot die. Roar, scratching. That's a good idea. After the merger of the Wind Wolf territory, it is indeed necessary to thoroughly search and inspect the surrounding territory, and eliminate the causes of instability. Su can only sleep soundly at night. After coming here, Chen Mo hasn't slept soundly for a long time. All of this is due to the Wind and Wolf pack. Attacks have no fixed time and can occur anytime, anywhere, which has kept Chen Mo's mind tense. Now the problem has been completely solved. Taking advantage of this opportunity, it is necessary to conduct a thorough inspection, not only to eliminate the dangers within the territory, but also to properly search for some supplies. Overall, everything is developing in a positive direction. Chapter 3. Jarvis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day. Chen Mo looked at the several spiritual herbs in front of him and didn't know how to deal with them. White tigers can swallow spiritual medicines and refine them to improve their cultivation. Chen Mo's side is not good, he doesn't even know how to deal with these spiritual medicines. When it comes to pharmacological knowledge, Chen Mo is completely confused. If you eat directly, you are definitely looking for death. The search for the territory of Wind Wolf went very smoothly and did not encounter any accidents. I did indeed search for some good things, including a few unknown herbs and a few white jade-like stones containing pure spiritual energy. If the name is correct, they should belong to the realm of cultivation and immortal stones. The main force of the search is White Tiger, and Chen Mo is not familiar with herbs, nor can he find anything good. To be precise, I just followed with a wave of soy sauce. White tiger is also very face-saving. The good things collected are evenly distributed among each person and tiger. White tiger directly swallows a jujube-like fruit and then goes to sleep. Chen Mo was left staring blankly at what was in front of him. White tiger has a strong physique and can easily swallow it. Chen Mo's side is really not good. Chen Moning felt that if he swallowed these things directly, he would die, and his meridian problems had not been solved yet. Taking these now is definitely seeking death. Moreover, is the elixir of the other world something that ordinary people like Chen Mo can swallow raw? It seems that we still have to rely on our golden fingers. Put the herbs and white stones containing spiritual energy in his pocket, and Chen Mo picked up the programming book next to him to continue studying. Chen Mo's understanding of the world is completely blank, and he feels constrained in everything he does. Without practicing martial arts, Chen Mo couldn't even accelerate the movement of true qi. He could only let the true qi in his body move on its own, but fortunately, there were hardly any deviations in the movement of true qi. Half an hour later, Chen Mo put down his book, feeling a bit wrong. Did he evolve overnight? Is it normal for Chen Mo to be able to recite the entire book in just half an hour? I thought that the innate realm only increased my eyesight, reflexes, strength, physical strength, and other aspects, but I didn't expect that memory and comprehension abilities could also be improved so much. Chen Mo had a very pleasurable feeling. To be honest, if Chen Mo had this understanding memory ability before, he would have studied at the Chinese Academy of Sciences long ago. Where else would he need to consider the unrealistic fantasy of self-study and success? After reading all the books for an afternoon, Chen Mo truly felt that he had evolved. This memory and understanding ability are simply unscientific. The only regret is that even though we have evolved, there are still some things that we should not understand, such as methods for exploring and practicing. Having outstanding memory and understanding abilities, one is still unable to create corresponding spiritual knowledge out of thin air, which is quite frustrating. The same. Even though Chen Mo relied on his golden fingers to reach his innate stage, there was still no corresponding cultivation method, and inheritance, and so on were beyond his imagination. He still couldn't understand through his own research. At this moment, Chen Mo deeply understands his reliance, and from beginning to end, there is only a golden finger that can compile on its own. Thinking of this, Chen Mo abandoned other unrealistic fantasies and made up his mind. Open the programming interface again through that unlucky antelope. Looking at the pastor's assistants again, the series of codes were not as obscure and difficult to understand as before. On the contrary, Chen Mo felt that they were just right. This doesn't seem like an illusion. Thinking of this, Chen Mo's mouth curled up. It seems that it is also possible to reap the benefits of the lost in the eastern corner. Quickly click to edit code with your fingertips. Can't actual objects be created out of nothing, but can energy types be manifested? Chen Mo snapped his fingers, and in an instant, flames rose from the nearby pile of wood, causing Chen Mo to ponder. After entering the innate stage, writing cheats is no longer as difficult as before, and Chen Mo can instead study this programming cheat carefully. Taking a glance at the sky, it slowly darkened. Chen Mo closed his book and lay on the grass. The starry sky is bright but not the familiar one. Returning to Earth through a handwritten cheat has just failed. This made Chen Mo feel a bit discouraged, but he was not surprised. The plane shuttle is indeed not so simple. Since he couldn't go home, he had to continue fighting for survival. Chen Mo decided to write some incredible cheats. The previous half-hearted promotion of cheats is enough, but now Chen Mo plans to write a few cheats that are suitable for himself and can ensure his safe survival in a foreign world. Since we are unable to return to Earth, let's live well in this world. Even if it doesn't work out, it should be better than working hard before. With such thoughts in mind, Chen Mo slowly fell asleep. Another new day. The white tiger still hasn't woken up. It seems that it will take a considerable amount of time for the white tiger to completely refine the spiritual energy in that fruit. With this in mind, Chen Mo started compiling code in the morning. Chen Mo plans to write down all the available cheats he can think of. After all, there are not too many cheats. Days just pass by day. Until one day, Chen Mo looked at more and more cheats and had a completely new idea. Manually switching between different types of plugins is too cumbersome. During the battle, Chen Mo may not have the opportunity to switch to cheating assistants. Perhaps I should write a voice assistant or something like that. I remember in a certain movie, Jarvis's artificial intelligence was gradually improved by voice assistants. Maybe you can give it a try yourself. Switching between cheats during battles is very dangerous, and integrating multiple cheats can be cumbersome and require a lot of work. Even though Chen Mo has been mentally enhanced, he still feels very overwhelmed and prone to error bugs. This is somewhat fatal. Even though Chen Mo's innate brain power was enhanced, it was still inevitable that the program he wrote had bugs, and the Great Fusion Invincible cheat assistance could only be temporarily abandoned. A single system cheat has strong directionality, occupies small memory, has a simple structure, and is not prone to bugs. If a voice assistant that coordinates all cheats is added for switching, this is the most perfect solution at present. Do whatever you want, Chen Mo begins to continue writing code. 6 months later. Step out of the tiger hole. Chen Mo glanced at the sun. It was a new day. The white tiger is still sleeping, and its aura is slowly increasing. It is estimated that when it wakes up again, its strength will skyrocket. Today is a good day. The voice assistant has been completed, and it is still very comprehensive. Chen Mo has almost entered all the conversations he can think of and can update new conversation content in real time. Chen Mo has compiled all the possible cheats, including nearly 20 sets of different styles of cheats, as well as several sets of super cheats used in desperate situations. Everything is ready. Chen Mo spoke softly. Jarvis. Sir, Jarvis is at your service. Jarvis, it's time to solve the meridian problem. Chen Mo's tone was plain, and Jarvis was a voice assistant that Chen Mo had put a lot of effort into writing. The answer was directly in his mind, and Chen Mo also looked forward to the day when Jarvis became an artificial intelligence. Sir, the ultimate repair skill has been activated. A faint green light appeared on Chen Mo's body, and a soft energy flowed through the meridians of his body. The tingling sensation in the meridians quickly dissipated, and even the movement of true qi in the elixir field accelerated a bit. Sir, your body has been repaired. Gently clenching his fist, Chen Mo smiled happily. His meridian problems had been resolved, and the discomfort in his body had completely disappeared. However, Chen Mo still does not have any cultivation techniques here, but he currently does not need them. The problem of improving strength can now be perfectly solved by Chen Mo relying on the cheats he wrote himself. Chen Mo has come up with many safe ways to enhance his strength, which are to take an apprenticeship and provide feedback, or to use other collaborative enhancement methods. In short, the way you used to brush a healing spell to elevate yourself to a certain level is not enough, as it can easily kill you. Chen Mo has analyzed it. The reason for the previous consequences is simply that one's cultivation cannot be greatly improved. Taking one step at a time is unlikely to cause similar problems, but unfortunately, Chen Mo does not have a way to practice, so he can only use other methods. For example, if you successfully use a healing technique, your strength will increase slightly, ensuring that it is not excessive. If these skills are handed over to the disciple can increase their skill experience points by repeatedly practicing the skills, and Chen Mo's strength can be simultaneously improved. This method is also feasible and very safe. What's the point of doing this? Good question. This can avoid Chen Mo's explosive growth in strength. Cultivation is not something that can be achieved overnight. Chen Mo does not have any cultivation techniques and does not want to improve his skill level through repetitive practice step by step. After all, cheats are all written by himself, why bother with himself? In this way, we can only rely on collaborative cheating to gradually improve our own strength. And Chen Mo uses cheats to enhance his strength. If there is no reference, it is easy to get overwhelmed and lose himself. So it is still necessary to find a suitable reference for cultivation. It's a bit similar to some apprenticeship systems. When an apprentice cultivates, the master's strength is automatically 10 times that of the apprentice. However, Chen Mo is more restrained here and won't play so much. The main reason is that he almost got out of it before and has already developed a psychological shadow. Of course, Chen Mo is not just a cheat to enhance his strength. Chen Mo has written a lot here, with pastors assisting in cultivation. By constantly saving lives and helping the wounded, one can gradually improve their own strength, and there are also things that can be sold to improve cultivation. It all depends on Chen Mo's mood to decide which one to use. The different types of cheats can also allow Chen Mo to experience different lives. The most convenient and reliable way is, of course, to accept apprentices. The apprentice cultivates and the master's strength improves accordingly, so as not to take too many steps in cultivation and encounter problems one day. However, currently Chen Mo has not encountered anyone else, and the method of accepting apprentices cannot be verified for the time being. Is it feasible? Of course, if Chen Mo obtains certain cultivation techniques in the future, he may not be able to write corresponding cheats, and whether they will take effect or not depends on the actual situation. If given the opportunity, Chen Mo still wants to try practicing some cultivation techniques. I always feel that cheating cultivation is not orthodox enough, it's better to follow the customs when in Rome. Chen Mo has also tried many times, and as long as it is an energy-type cheat assist, there is no problem, but it cannot be created out of thin air, and no other dangerous elements have been found for the time being. Looking at the river, Chen Mo glanced at the sky again, almost approaching noon. Jarvis, it's time to catch fish. With Chen Mo's words, the cheat interface switched to the weapon interface. Various heavy weapon skill icons are densely packed, and this is the killer mace prepared by Chen Mo. The most exaggerated power value is a string of 9 energy powerful Ivan, which can be used with delayed resurrection skills as a super killer mace. Sir, the energy howitzer has been fired. A red energy grenade suddenly appeared over the river. Boom! A huge explosion exploded in the river. Chen Mo was drenched in the river water, and the powerful shockwave tore apart some of his previously scarce clothes. Jarvis, are you serious? While picking up relatively complete river fish from the river, Chen Mo complained to Jarvis about the power of the grenade. Sir, there is a slight deviation between the preset value and the actual value. The specific data has been collected. Chen Mo stopped talking. Although it was just a simple voice assistant, it could still keep Chen Mo from going crazy in such an environment. Roar, accompanied by the majestic roar of the tiger, a powerful momentum came from the tiger hole, and the white tiger broke through. Next up. The white tiger, who had lost a circle of weight, walked out of the tiger hole with a fierce aura emanating from its eyes. Chen Moning felt that after the roar of the white tiger, everything around him became quiet. Even the 2 rabbits that Chen Mo had previously caught trembled, and it seemed that the white tiger had broken through, at least a small realm. White tiger saved Chen Mo's life. Chen Mo has thought about using cheats to give Baihu some cheats bonuses, but he is worried that he may lose the game. Relying on cheats to brush the top bloodline for Baihu sounds very good. If Baihu encounters any problems, Chen Mo probably will regret it for a lifetime. If the resurrection skill of the paladin is not easy to use, then it will really go blind. Chen Mo dare not gamble for the time being. This is a world of cultivation, it's always right to be careful. Roar. Oh, would you like some fresh grilled fish that's just been baked? White tiger's nose twitched slightly, then jumped to Chen Mo's side and bit the grilled fish in one bite. Chen Mo suddenly noticed the slightly bulging bulges on both sides of Bai Hu's back. He was about to reach out and touch them when he was dodged by Bai Hu. Is it a rare variety? Roar. Listening to Bai Hu's dissatisfied roar, Chen Mo waved his hand repeatedly and said, I'm just a little curious. Roar. Okay, I won't touch you. Speaking of which, brother tiger, you're not an ordinary tiger. I really underestimated you. The raised pattern on the back of the white tiger feels a bit like a wing pattern. A white tiger with wings. Imagine a black and white striped white tiger with a pair of wings, which looks pretty good, flying tiger. But there is something that needs to be told to Bai Hu. Brother tiger, I'm about to leave. Chen Mo spoke softly, unsure if he had a chance to return to Earth in the future. But with enough self-protection, Chen Mo still wanted to leave this forest. Perhaps one day in the future, when he has had enough fun, he will return to this mountain and try to find a way back to Earth, but Chen Mo cannot stay in this forest forever. Roar. White Tiger looked at Chen Mo with tiger eyes. After spending so much time together, White Tiger could understand the meaning behind Chen Mo's words. Gently caressing the White Tiger, Chen Mo's voice was somewhat melancholic. After all, we can't live a lifetime in the forest. If we meet again in the future, brother tiger, I'll treat you to a drink. White Tiger rarely replied, just looking at Chen Mo with a worried expression in his eyes. Brother tiger, don't worry, I have a way out of the forest alive. During speech, Chen Mo gently caressed Bai Hu. A powerful energy barrier appeared, and a hint of surprise appeared in the eyes of the White Tiger. See, I can protect myself. If there were really no other humans in this world, I would come back again. Chapter 4. Conducting Experiments. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Roar. Listening to Bai Hu's low roar, Chen Mo understood the meaning behind it. Bai Hu was inquiring about Chen Mo's departure time. In a while, before leaving, I want to give you a gift. Chen Mo looked into the distance, unconsciously having been in this world for over a year, time flies so fast. Roar. Bai Hu is curious about what Chen Mo wants to give him. Not yet. I need to verify with other Warcraft first to ensure safety before I can use it for you. The White Tiger saved Chen Mo's life, but Chen Mo cannot treat the White Tiger as a little white mouse. Although the species are different, there is already a deep bond between Chen Mo and White Tiger, and Chen Mo cannot do such a thing as pitying teammates. Chen Mo wants to use his own assistance to brush a set of top-level Tiger Clan bloodlines for White Tiger before leaving, so that when Chen Mo returns again, White Tiger will still be safe. This forest is very big and dangerous, and Chen Mo wants to increase some survival chips for the White Tiger. However, for safety reasons, it is necessary to first verify with other organisms to prevent accidents. The next experiment is not only for White Tiger, but also for Chen Mo himself. There are programming golden fingers around, and some unknown things must be verified before they can be used. Chen Mo does not guarantee that he will one day have a brain twitch and brush himself with a top-notch bloodline to change his destiny. Of course, the usefulness of bloodline cheats can only be determined after actual verification. This can only be gradually studied by Chen Mo. Such a powerful cheat, if you die under the cheat you wrote, the image will be terrible no matter how you think, so conducting experiments before using the cheat is a necessary step. Of course, certain special cheats are excluded. The programming system is indeed very powerful. Chen Mo can easily be blessed with many things, including powerful energy attack methods, incredible defense barriers, and various unimaginable abilities. The only regret is that Chen Mo, as a host, cannot bear the sudden surge in strength. This question. Before Chen Mo obtains the true cultivation technique and understands the speed at which to improve his cultivation so as not to cause any problems, he can only gradually improve. Chen Mo understands the principle that haste leads to failure, so for the improvement of cultivation, he seeks stability. However, there are cheats around, and Chen Mo is not particularly concerned about improving his cultivation. After all, in Chen Mo's place, cultivation does not equal strength. With so many handwritten cheats, even if cheats can only use energy moves, Chen Mo's side can still stand undefeated, and his combat power can easily crush the vast majority of cultivators. Of course, if encountering an existence that makes Chen Mo unable to react and directly erase it, it can indeed kill Chen Mo, but the opponent cannot escape the passive skill attack that triggers the destruction of the world after Chen Mo's death. Although Chen Mo died and it didn't sound good to be buried with the whole world, having no one left proves that the world is guilty and should be destroyed. That's what Chen Mo thought and planned to do. To forge iron, one must be hard on their own. Before growing up, Chen Mo still planned to hide his strength and not be too reckless. Going too far, get back to the main topic. Chen Mo did not practice any martial arts, which led to the need for caution in his cultivation. But this does not mean that Chen Mo cannot add any cheats to Bai Hu. If you can't get it right in one step, then open the top-level White Tiger bloodline that gradually awakens over time. Anyway, writing a program only takes some time, at most it requires more time to run tests, and the problem is not significant. This is a cheat aid tailored by Chen Mo for White Tiger, as Chen Mo will be leaving soon and can only prepare this kind of cheat for White Tiger. The kind of cheating that goes one step to heaven is too unreliable. Think about it and forget it. Chen Mo believes that as long as the White Tiger does not die, it can definitely be seen again in the future. However, before that, Chen Mo plans to conduct other biological experiments first. Bai Hu didn't quite understand what Chen Mo was saying, but the meaning behind it was that Bai Hu understood and was just looking for experimental samples, right? This White Tiger is very familiar. A few minutes later, White Tiger held a half-dead rabbit in its mouth and ran to Chen Mo's side. Is it a rabbit? It's also possible. Chen Mo nodded slightly, and the cheat skill interface lit up. A faint energy in his hand enveloped the rabbit. This is an accelerated version of the top-level bloodline cheat. After all, we want to verify the actual results of the bloodline cheat in a short period of time. The skill has been successfully released, it doesn't seem like a big problem. As the waves spread on the rabbit's body, Chen Mo and Bai Hu began to quickly retreat, each with a solemn expression in their eyes. Holy shit. Chen Mo's face looked a bit ugly, which was quite outrageous and completely different from the picture he had anticipated. The distant scene looked somewhat ghostly. The originally half-dead rabbit was undergoing a crazy evolution, accompanied by an inexplicable aura that gave off a chilling feeling, as if the bloodline of some terrifying ancient ferocious beast had awakened. Chen Mo's face slightly changed as he noticed the rabbit's gaze. Successfully, but the rabbit that awakened its ancient bloodline clearly harbors a grudge against the White Tiger, which is not good. The introduction of cheating skills is very general, but the actual effect it presents is somewhat chilling. Where is a rabbit? This is clearly an ancient ferocious beast. Let this thing continue to awaken, both Chen Mo and Bai Hu have to explain it here. Jarvis, take a look. Sir, the tactical level energy missile is in place. Don't talk nonsense, kill that rabbit. Chen Mo doesn't believe it anymore. Is it possible for a rabbit that has awakened its ancient bloodline to make a comeback? You should know that Chen Mo only awakened the rabbit's ancient bloodline and did not endow it with any strength. Even if the top-level bloodline can enable the rabbit to evolve quickly, there should be a limit to this. How big can the top bloodline young students in the district be able to turn the tide? Damn it. However, this rabbit also reminded Chen Mo not to mess around unless necessary, as it could potentially lead to the destruction of the world. It's better for this taboo to disappear from the White Tiger era. If one day you get rid of it, no one can save you. Chen Mo has no intention of becoming an evil scientist. Boom. Accompanied by the massive shock wave spreading, both Chen Mo and Bai Hu were lifted off by the tremendous energy impact of the missile. Click. At the moment of flying backwards, Chen Mo only had one feeling, which was that his rib was broken. If it weren't for his good physique, it would be the rhythm of landing in a box. At the same time, Chen Mo also came up with an idea. That's when skills like automatic defense need to be arranged, and it's only after encountering them that you realize what you're missing. If you really kill 1,000 enemies, you will lose 800. Hiss! A strange cry came from a distance, and Chen Mo's face darkened slightly. He was hit directly by such an attack, and the rabbit didn't even die. Jarvis. Sir, the rabbit is still alive. Based on the analysis of the rabbit's awakened bloodline as a dark attribute, it is recommended to use the Holy Light Attribute Tactical Level Energy Missile. What are you talking about? Kill that rabbit. Boom. Like a huge flare, a small white mushroom cloud rises, followed by a powerful shockwave spreading. Hiss! The rabbit's hissing slowly faded away in the frozen holy light, and Chen Mo and Bai Hu breathed a sigh of relief as they noticed the rabbit's breath had disappeared. The ground, several hundred meters in radius, has turned into liquid glass, faintly reflecting sunlight. Is this the holy light? It's really magical energy. Feeling the residual holy energy in the air, Chen Mo was somewhat surprised. The holy power that could be felt before was only the two words of holy light hanging on the outside. There is really a huge difference. Chen Mo does have a weapon that switches attribute energy settings. But the skills actually used and written in his imagination are two different concepts, and Chen Mo has just experienced this process. Now it seems that this name is still very appropriate. It is truly full of holy energy, and the energy is very pure, and the actual effect is also very good. Roar. The white tiger roared low, and Chen Mo turned back. I said it was just an accident, brother tiger, do you believe it? Chen Mo's face was a bit awkward. The eyes of the white tiger were filled with distrust. Urged Chen Mo to hurry up for treatment, Chen Mo honestly followed suit as a white tiger brush therapy. Using force to straighten the broken ribs, Chen Mo's mouth twitched in pain. Now it seems that the experimental risk is quite high. Roar. The white tiger glared angrily at Chen Mo, and the warning in its eyes was very obvious. The bloodline of the white tiger did not want it at all. The white tiger can feel the level of danger involved, which is definitely a forbidden force. Chen Mo also saw that white tiger was not very interested in top-level bloodlines, not only because of what had just happened, but also because of white tiger's pride. This is understandable. No one will admit that their bloodline is not good, and white tiger is even more so. Who is idle and likes to add things to their bloodline? Moreover, Chen Mo also felt that such reckless cheating was highly likely to get him involved. Since that's the case, let's forget it. With Bai Hu's agility, it's probably not necessary to cheat. If you don't want it, forget it. I'll treat you to a drink in the future. Although Chen Mo is very confident in his cheats, he still doesn't have the courage to bring up trouble for Bai Hu. After Chen Mo has played enough in the future, he can come back and assist Bai Hu in cultivating into a different cultivator. It's better not to die now. The main reason is that Chen Mo also saw the danger level of top-level bloodlines, so he decided to forget about it. With Bai Hu's agility, there shouldn't be any problems. After all, during the first collaboration, Bai Hu was incredibly intelligent and didn't suffer any losses. 2 months later, Chen Mo simply tidied up and carried a rudimentary bear skin bag on his back. Brother Hu, we'll see you later. As soon as Chen Mo took 2 steps, he was bitten by a white tiger at the corner of his clothes. His Chen Mo's originally few remaining clothes were missing a large piece. How many times have you said it, don't pull at my clothes? Chen Mo glared angrily at Bai Hu, who really didn't give him any face. Roar. Bai Hu is not at all hesitant, he directly confronts and adopts a habitual way of communication. Forget it, I won't argue with you anymore. What's up? Chen Mo didn't speak up in anger. I was about to leave, so you even tore my clothes. Chen Mo felt that Bai Hu was not a good person, right? The white tiger is not a human. Roar. Accompanied by the roar of the white tiger, there was also the lingering gaze of the white tiger looking around. Brother Tiger, are you planning to go with me? Chen Mo didn't realize that Bai Hu actually planned to go with him. What kind of brain circuit is this? Roar. Okay. Since you want to follow, let's explore this world together. There's nothing to refuse. After arriving in this world, Bai Hu was the first friend Chen Mo met. Having been together for so long, it's a bit reluctant to leave like this, but Chen Mo really doesn't want to spend his whole life in the forest. Human beings still need some pursuit. If there is really only Chen Mo in this world, Chen Mo will definitely come back and find a way to go home. Roar. The voice of the white tiger is a bit low. This is where the white tiger grew up. I will definitely come back in the future. At present, Chen Mo has no way to go home, but the future is really uncertain. Just spherical lightning, it's not a tall thing, relying on programming golden fingers is not a big problem. Maybe in the future, I really need to go back the same way. Roar. The white tiger let out a roar that shook the mountains and forests, and with a roar, all the beasts were startled. Countless forest birds flew out of the distant forest. One person, one tiger, set off directly. There are two ways for Chen Mo and Bai Hu to safely leave this forest. The first method is to use cheats to push out horizontally along the way, with the gods blocking and killing the gods, and the Buddha blocking and killing the Buddha. The downside is that until one person and one tiger leave the forest, it is probably impossible to stop. Based on Chen Mo's estimation of this forest, it is estimated that the monsters in this forest cannot be completely killed, and they are very vengeful. The second method is to use cheats to activate various hidden skills and sneak out all the way. Chen Mo recommends the second type more, because the first type may attract some kind of monster like ghosts and snakes, and in case of encountering a monster like a curse that can bypass cheating detection. One person, one tiger, and the risk factor is exploding. This forest is too big, and there are too many Warcraft creatures. It's not something that Chen Mo and Bai Hu, two small innate beings, can easily pass through. Roar. After learning about Chen Mo's two methods, Bai Hu decisively chose the second one. This is not cowardice, it is calling those who know the current affairs a hero. The white tiger can step by step live and enter the innate stage, not only by chance, but also by brain. Without a brain, it will become the lunch of other Warcraft before the birth of spiritual intelligence. In this forest, Mang will definitely not live long, even if his strength is strong. White Tiger is very aware of this. Driving top-level stealth all the way can avoid a lot of trouble, and it's not too late to take action if you're caught. I think the same way, but I don't guarantee it won't be discovered. After all, it is a world of cultivation, and even with more preparation, Chen Mo still retains a reverence for the unknown. If you think there are cheats, you can just walk around here and die a miserable death. Looking at the distance, Chen Mo felt helpless. Before he could even set off, he encountered those monsters coveting him, and Chen Mo was also convinced. Jarvis. Sir, do you have any instructions? The next journey will mainly focus on laser weapons and silencing weapons. Sir, the new instruction has been updated. After the commotion just now, Chen Mo had already seen several strange monsters observing in the distance. One by one, they were smart and ghostly, completely devoid of the appearance of Warcraft that Chen Mo had in mind. Some only had the idea of taking advantage of the fire and looting. They didn't come over now just because White Tiger and Chen Mo were not injured. After the congenital period, Chen Mo's eyesight has been greatly enhanced, and he even saw fear in the eyes of the congenital rhinoceros. Can he still play? Isn't it said that after the founding of the country, fairies are not allowed to become spirits. What is the situation now? What? A different world. It's okay then. Chapter 5. Cooperative Red Eagle. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 6 months later. Beside the bonfire. Under the firelight, one person and one tiger were patiently waiting for the elk on the grill to be cooked. On the grill is a congenital elk, which can be considered a pretty good ingredient. In this forest, there are many carnivorous monsters, and it is not easy for elk, a less aggressive creature, to break through to the innate stage. And today, by luck, one person and one tiger have gained a good taste. Thanks to the nourishment of innate spiritual energy, innate creatures generally taste very good as food. Brother Hu, have you noticed? This place is much stronger than your broken mountain. Chen Mo casually spoke up and chatted with Bai Hu to relieve some of his suppressed emotions. Roar, White Tiger also saw that even the existence of elk, which is at the bottom of the food chain, can be elevated to the innate stage, and the spiritual energy here is indeed very abundant. Even elk can break through to the innate stage, tsk. Chen Mo felt a little emotional. After walking alone for so long, one person and one tiger have opened several hidden cheats, and still experienced many fierce battles. They have also learned about the survival laws of this forest. In general, the more abundant the spiritual energy, the more powerful the species are, which is almost an iron law. And places with exceptionally abundant spiritual energy are often accompanied by very powerful beings. To be honest, if it weren't for Chen Mo's keeping up with the times and improving cheats, one person and one tiger wouldn't have come here. Because danger does not only come from this forest, but also from cheats written by Chen Mo, which is a bit harmful. Chen Mo also deeply understood one thing. Even with powerful cheats, to safely leave this forest, one still needs to be extremely careful. If one is not careful, they may actually fall here. Roar, Bai Hu stood up with some vigilance and looked around. At this moment, the surroundings were too quiet, which was very abnormal. Jarvis. Chen Mo reacted quickly. Sir, no other organisms were detected within a few miles radius. Upon hearing Jarvis's reply, Li Anil not only didn't feel at ease, but also stood up directly and said, White Tiger, get out of here. As I should have just thought, how could there be only one innate elk in such a place with abundant spiritual energy? Even innate elk can become innate, which is definitely a problem. Some powerful creatures can block their own breath, as they have encountered before. Chen Mo inwardly cursed himself for not having a long memory. A sharp aura suddenly struck. Chen Mo and Bai Hu jumped back at lightning speed, narrowly avoiding the approaching wind blade, and the campfire exploded with a loud roar. Jarvis. Have a family bucket. At the moment when one person and one tiger landed, a series of radiance rose from their bodies, which was the pastor's delayed assistance to fully open the light. All of them are sustained auxiliary skills, such as speed, strength, agility, etc., which can greatly improve the survival ability of one person and one tiger. The most eye-catching thing is the two red and blue sprites constantly spinning on top of each person's tiger head. This is the resurrection skill of the paladin. After death, two elves will immerse themselves in their bodies for resurrection, a life-saving divine skill. All along, the resurrection skill has never been attempted by a single person or tiger. No one wants to resurrect after death, and Chen Mo naturally does the same. However, the resurrection skill has indeed been briefly tested on other creatures. Chen Mo is not very clear about the specific side effects, and he also does not want to try it. Roar. White Tiger fired several energy balls in a row, jumped and stood with Chen Mo. White Tiger discovered the opponent in the air. A red shadow flashed in the sky, and all the energy balls of the White Tiger were dodged. The red figure slowly revealed itself, and it turned out to be a red eagle. The eagle's eyes showed a somewhat surprised expression. It seems surprising that one person and one tiger can evade attacks. The appearance of the red eagle looks similar to that of a giant eagle, with a body length of more than 10 zhang. Its red feathers emit a luster like steel. After scanning towards the elk next to the campfire, Eagle Eye's killing intent was almost impossible to conceal, and its aura was even stronger, making it difficult for people to catch their breath. Chen Mo was a bit uneasy, as the red eagle emitted a faint golden light. This kind of light should represent the strength of the next great realm in the innate period, and Chen Mo is not sure if it is the realm of the Golden Elixir Avenue in a certain fantasy novel. But the next battle is clearly difficult to fight. The most important thing now is how to fully recover. I encountered a warcraft in the Golden Elixir realm before, and one person, one tiger, persevered for a whole month with unlimited healing and madness before narrowly escaping. It was precisely because of that incident that Chen Mo almost adjusted most of his cheating assistance afterwards, which was a bloody lesson. The cheating assistance is very strong, and if you can't hit it, you can't keep up with the opponent's movements and block it, it's also pointless. But this time it's a flying unit, and if you want to escape, it may not be so easy, and it's hard to say if you can escape. Next, prepare for the worst. The Golden Elixir Warcraft I met last time left a deep impression on Chen Mo. This makes Chen Mo no longer as confident in his fully adjusted cheating assistance as before, fearing nothing but the unexpected. Chen Mo is a bit timid before the battle. Jarvis, are you ready? Chen Mo felt a bit heavy and uncertain in his heart. The abilities of Warcraft in this forest are different, and Chen Mo is not sure if the Red Eagle has any special abilities. Sir, these creatures' extraordinary weapons can kill them. Implicitly, using super powerful weapons can certainly kill Red Eagles. Chen Mo and White Tiger are 100% affected, and cheating skills do not support friendly protection. Chen Mo also has no moves. We have no choice. Having traveled for so long, Chen Mo naturally knew what Jarvis meant, but there was nothing he could do. There is no doubt that cheating attacks can destroy the sky and earth, but how to avoid being affected by such attacks is of utmost importance. Reality and games are different. Attack skills in games do not affect oneself, but reality does. Moreover, in this forest, if there is too much noise, it means that there will be many Warcraft chasing after them in the future. One of the laws of the forest, where pain hits water dogs and the law of the jungle is fully demonstrated. Warcraft with a high realm, their flesh and blood are great supplements, much faster than absorbing spiritual energy and refining it. Once a person is seriously injured, they will be remembered by many people, and even if they appear harmless on the surface, they will be tested by something. These things have been experienced too much before. However, Chen Mo's cheats can only be used in a single state. Even if his brain is strengthened, Chen Mo cannot merge all cheats into a perfect one, ensuring that there are no bugs. If a bug occurs at a critical moment, it is equivalent to ascending in place, but Chen Mo is still seeking stability. Running a single cheat means there will be vulnerabilities in certain aspects. Using an attack cheat means it cannot be defended, and defense means it cannot be attacked. Similarly, opening a hidden cheat means it cannot be attacked or defended. So Chen Mo's pairing is to first use the priest's assistance to activate a bunch of delayed buffs, including resurrection skills, and then switch to the most powerful attack cheats. Take one skill and erase it together, then resurrect it on your own side through the resurrection skill. This is the safest method, and the drawbacks are certainly obvious. There is no need to consider other options at all. Activating a full defense cheat means becoming a toy for some powerful Warcraft, and with just one person and one tiger, it's probably impossible to break through the opponent's defense. In a prolonged battle, the scene would be too frustrating. The ability to conceal all points is indeed a good way to travel, but one person and one tiger cannot reach the realm of clearing valleys. If you want to eat, you will inevitably be exposed, which has been the case before. Under normal circumstances, it is safer to cut into attack max cheats after being covered in delayed buffs. Chen Mo thinks and does so, and the best defense is to attack. As for constantly cutting cheats. At first, Chen Mo did the same thing, but the reason he doesn't do it now is that he almost died in a certain snake's mouth before. Advanced Warcraft is capable of instantly killing people, and the time it takes to cheat seems to be extremely short. For some beings, killing Chen Mo is more than enough. A seemingly powerful cheat is actually worth saving one's life. Ultimately, one must find a way to obtain cultivation techniques. Practicing martial arts is definitely not as outrageous as cheating or being biased towards certain subjects. As for focusing on writing a major fusion cheat, this difficulty is indeed a bit too high. Chen Mo has also tried. Just numerical balance alone, Chen Mo cannot handle it, and there will also be inexplicable bugs. In this situation, Chen Mo doesn't have time to focus on organizing cheats, so he can only grit his teeth and leave this forest first. Jarvis, take a look. Feeling the increasingly intimidating power of the Red Eagle and its undisguised killing intent, Chen Mo's heart was filled with anger. Isn't it that they all perish together? Afraid of a feather. As if sensing something, the Red Eagle's breath slightly froze and he stared at Chen Mo with some alertness. Sensing the reaction of the Red Eagle, Chen Mo was overjoyed. Perhaps we can talk about it. We can talk about it. The sound of Eagle's fear rang out, mixed with anger, and a fierce killing intent rushed towards him. Red Eagle didn't want to talk to Chen Mo. Feeling the tense atmosphere of swords and crossbows, Chen Mo's face was solemn and he said, "Jarvis. Sir, the continuous saturation tactical missile has been locked and covered." A strange and terrifying aura spread from behind Chen Mo, and any attack would completely erase it, without any unexpected circumstances. The Red Eagle's eagle eyes were fixed on Chen Mo and White Tiger. Losing both ways is not beneficial for us. If you can keep a natural demon like a deer, you should have a different plan. Perhaps we can help you. Chen Mo spoke in a deep voice, in order to avoid the Red Eagle not understanding. His words were also mixed with divine sense. Another loud eagle cry. Chen Mo understood the meaning behind Eagle's fear. Red Eagle did not trust one person, one tiger, but he did not really want to fight. The Red Eagle could sense the strong threat emanating from behind Chen Mo. The Red Eagle seems more inclined to collaborate with innate warcraft that can be easily manipulated. Since we don't plan to cooperate, we'll leave now. The well won't catch the river. Chen Mo continued to speak. The elk was gone and it was too late to say anything. There really wasn't a winner in the fight. There are only 3 selectable outcomes in the end. 1. Collaborating to achieve the goal of Red Eagle, the purpose is unknown. 2. Let Chen Mo and Baihu leave, and the well water will not invade the river. 3. Fight to the death, no one will win in the end. The Red Eagle remained motionless for a long time, with sharp eyes. Chen Mo and the White Tiger exchanged a glance and slowly retreated. Just as one person and one tiger were about to leave, there was once again a loud eagle cry. Red Eagle ultimately chose to cooperate. Chen Mo and Baihu exchanged a glance, then followed closely by the Red Eagle. From the Red Eagle's reaction just now, it seems that they have discovered something, but they cannot activate it with their own strength, so they need the help of the elk. But the elk was killed by White Tiger and Chen Mo, and cultivating another one in the innate stage is somewhat distant, and cooperation is risky, but the victory lies in high efficiency. The Red Eagle clearly does not want to wait any longer. Quickly, we arrived at a hidden entrance. Chen Mo knows what Red Eagle wants. There were dense carvings around the entrance of the cave, which Chen Mo couldn't understand, but the barrier at the entrance was clear to him, like a defensive formation. The Red Eagle emitted a red light from its mouth and hit the entrance of the cave, creating beautiful ripples on the barrier. There must be something good inside the cave, but with the strength of the Red Eagle, it cannot be opened. Baihu, go up and help me. As the saying goes, Chen Mo also did not relax and added the buff assisted by the pastor again. Red Eagle is not an easy person and could easily turn his back at any time. Roar! The white tiger emitted an energy ball and hit the whole restriction, causing ripples, but the ripples were much smaller in scope than the Red Eagle. The resounding eagle gun rang out again. Chen Mo slowly took a few steps back, raised the red iron rod in his hand, and the energy ball in the white tiger's mouth converged. The Red Eagle also showed signs of attacking. Let go. Three forces simultaneously hit the prohibition, which flickered a few times before slowly dissipating. The Red Eagle transformed into a red shadow and entered the cave slightly. Chen Mo and Bai Hu followed directly, and it was obvious that there was something good inside, so they couldn't just leave like this. In the cave. There is a withered bone in the corner and a yellowed booklet. In another corner, there was a pile of elixirs and immortal stones piled up. The Red Eagle immediately swallowed the elixirs on the stone table and stood in front of the elixirs, with an evil gaze in its eyes. Red Eagle, all those things belong to you. We only need these two things, how about that? Chen Mo picked up the manual and the ring on his bony finger, and spoke softly. The quality of the herbs in the corner is extraordinary at first glance, and one can feel the vigorous spiritual energy even if they are not close, but Chen Mo is not interested in those. Firstly, Chen Mo cannot eat it. Secondly, if Bai Hu swallows it, he will fall asleep. And then he will have to hurry and have no time to deal with these. The Red Eagle stood in front of the elixir at the first moment to prevent Chen Mo and White Tiger from coveting it. It was because it had set its sights on these elixirs, which were the fastest way for Warcraft to enhance its strength. Upon hearing Chen Mo's words, Red Eagle nodded spiritually, but did not relax a bit. Picking up the booklet and ring, Chen Mo left the cave directly, and Bai Hu was indeed somewhat envious of those spiritual medicines. But he also silently followed Chen Mo, and it was unwise to fight against the Red Eagle. The strength of the Red Eagle cannot be achieved by one person or one tiger. Seeing Chen Mo and Bai Hu leave, Red Eagle relaxed slightly, his sharp eyes scanning the surroundings, and finally landed at the entrance of the cave. It takes a long time to refine and absorb these spiritual medicines, and before swallowing them, the Red Eagle also needs to disguise the entrance of the cave. On the other side. Discovering that the Red Eagle had not caught up, each person breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the booklet and ring, and then thinking of the dead bones in the cave, Chen Mo felt a little excited inside. There are really people in this world. Chen Mo is not the only person in this world, this news is more important than anything else. Spiritual medicine is indeed very important, but Chen Mo cannot swallow it directly. White Tiger can do it, but the problem is that refining spiritual medicine takes time. Chen Mo can't wait for White Tiger for so long either. Giving up is the best choice, mainly because the risk of fighting against Red Eagle is a bit high. He walked dozens of miles in hiding again. Taking a glance at the sky, one person and one tiger found a very nice cave. Rainwater splashed down. Beside the bonfire in the cave, one person and one tiger waited for the food to be grilled on the bonfire. It was the unlucky innate elk that was picked up again. The higher the realm, the more delicious the meat is. It's a pity to just throw it away like this. The Red Eagle doesn't eat meat, so it can only be cheaper for Chen Mo and White Tiger. This is almost the border of the Red Eagle territory, so there is no need to worry about being targeted by other monsters for now. Through the flames, Chen Mo flipped through the booklet in his hand and sighed. I can't read. Jarvis. Sir, the content of the book has been successfully included. According to analysis, 95% of this manual may be a certain alchemy manual. Directly throwing the books into the fire, the flames rose for a moment, and the brightness of the cave increased. Playing with the ring in his hand, Chen Mo studied it for a while but couldn't understand the mystery behind it. The ring was pitch black all over, with a peculiar pattern on it. Intuitively, Chen Mo was told that it was a good thing. But Chen Mo has not yet developed a method to use. Chapter 6. Pinjiuguo. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Blood dripped onto the ring. The expected scene did not appear, the ring did not show any reaction, and things like blood dripping to recognize the owner were indeed not going to happen. It seems that the ring should have other ways of opening. Glancing at the wound on his fingertips, Chen Mo flicked his fingertips lightly, and a white light ball wrapped around his fingertips. In the blink of an eye, his fingers returned to their original state. Since it's not a blood drop to identify the owner, what other activation methods are there? Chen Mo tried hard to think about a possible way to open the ring in a certain film and television drama. Just as Chen Mo was pondering, a hint from Jarvis sounded in his ear. Sir, according to the analysis, changing the skill color to colorless may reduce the probability of being detected by surrounding warcraft. Colorless. Chen Mo tilted his head slightly, not sure if it was an illusion. For a moment, Chen Mo felt that Jarvis had evolved too quickly. Chen Mo doesn't remember setting up such a reminder dialogue for Jarvis, but Jarvis still gave advice like this, which can be considered a good thing. This proves that Jarvis could really continue to evolve, which is a good thing for Chen Mo. Surprised by Jarvis' proactive suggestion, Chen Mo is also considering the feasibility of Jarvis' suggestion. After careful consideration, Chen Mo also found it very reasonable. That's really a good idea. Jarvis is thinking about reducing the probability of being detected by other warcraft, while Chen Mo is thinking that invisible attacks should be less likely to be detected by the enemy. Along the way, one person and one tiger have been in a hurry to rush and deal with various unexpected situations, and there is no time to analyze these. Now Jarvis takes the initiative to point out that Chen Mo feels very reasonable, especially at night. Some cheating skills are almost like light bulbs, not too obvious. Think carefully about the scene when encountering warcraft along the way. Most of those warcraft, upon seeing the priest's buff glow on each person and tiger, pounced directly, while the rest quietly approached and planned to launch a surprise attack. A considerable portion of them are indeed attracted by the radiance emitted by skills. When I was chased by the Golden Core period warcraft before, it was precisely because of the glowing skills that I caused a lot of trouble for one person and one tiger, making it particularly difficult to escape. Even some smart warcraft will wait for the duration of the one man, one tiger buff before launching an attack. Clever is simply beyond words. If you think about it now. At that time, a considerable portion of warcraft should have been attracted by the continuous light emitted by these skills. Thinking this way, Chen Mo opened the programming panel. It won't take long to eliminate the color of the skill. Nowadays, Chen Mo has almost turned programming skills into an instinctive skill, which cannot guarantee the absence of bugs. However, Chen Mo is adept at modifying cheat content. But some things have to be admitted. Even if programming becomes instinctive, there are still some things that Chen Mo cannot handle. Writing a comprehensive program directly is not a big problem, but isn't it just about writing a program? There will always be some inexplicable bugs, and even some bugs that appear inexplicable. Eliminating bugs is definitely a technical task, and after eliminating one, it's not surprising to see 3 or 4 bugs emerge. Chen Mo increasingly felt the hardships of the programming aid profession. So in order to maintain stability, Chen Mo has only written some ultra-small plugins that are absolutely bug-free. The less content, the simpler it is, and the lower the frequency of bugs appearing. These cheats occupy very little memory and have little latency when switching. The largest intelligent assistant, Jarvis, is only a few hundred megabytes. Compared to the size of certain programs in Chen Mo's memory, those cheating aids are so simple that they cannot even be called programs. If placed on Earth, they are probably just programming templates. The cheating assistance is very small, so it is also very easy to rewrite. Quickly, Chen Mo finished rewriting the pastor assistant cheat, tested it, and then closed the programming interface. An object flew over in front of Chen Mo's eyes and instinctively took it. It was the ring, and Chen Mo's tone was somewhat helpless. White tiger, divine sense attacks are useless, too weak. Muron, Chen Mo was stunned. Looking at the ring in the palm of my hand, I was a bit stunned. Perhaps it was indeed opened in the wrong way before. Perhaps it's not blood dripping to recognize the master, but something similar to the imprint of divine consciousness. Divine consciousness is a product of breaking through the innate realm, somewhat similar to the perception of spiritual power in games. However, the range of innate consciousness perception is not large, only about a dozen meters away, and Chen Mo has not used it much. Compared to that, Chen Mo is still more accustomed to the vigilance of the white tiger. As a feline animal, the innate white tiger has a super strong alertness and is more effective than any perception. The most important point is that Bai Hu is truly loyal, and there have even been situations where Chen Mo was suddenly picked up by Bai Hu in his sleep to avoid attacks. At critical moments, Big Brother Tiger is still reliable. The divine perception was subconsciously ignored by Chen Mo, and now Bai Hu has given Chen Mo a wake-up call. Speaking of which, since it's not about blood dripping to recognize the master, can it really be related to divine consciousness? Thinking of this, Chen Mo placed his spiritual power on the ring, and his spiritual perception focused on the ring. Soon, Chen Mo's eyes lit up. Sure enough, there is a layer of divine sense imprint on the ring, a very powerful divine sense imprint. That is to say, the opening method of this ring is highly likely to rely on divine consciousness. Chen Mo doesn't know if this ring is actually a storage ring, but even if it's just an ordinary magic weapon, Chen Mo has made a lot of money. Without even thinking about it, Chen Mo decided to directly erase the divine sense imprint from the ring. The contact with divine sense gave Chen Mo the feeling of hitting a steel plate with his head. Chen Mo suddenly saw stars in his eyes, and the divine sense imprint on the ring was even stronger than Chen Mo had imagined. How long can you persist until it becomes an ownerless thing? Unable to forcefully erase, Chen Mo had to resort to the method of slowly fading away with divine consciousness. In a sense, this can also be considered as a way to exercise spiritual awareness. Chen Mo began to use his divine sense to constantly erase the divine sense mark on the ring, and it was only a matter of time before the mark was completely erased. Roar! Bai Hu raised his head slightly and looked at his younger brother, not understanding the meaning behind Chen Mo's words. It's okay, let's take a few more days off next. Listening to the sound of rain outside the cave, Chen Mo spoke up and answered. Although it is easy for Warcraft to not leave their lair on rainy days, which is a good time to rush, Chen Mo has no habit of rushing on rainy days. And it happens to take advantage of these few days to erase the divine sense imprint on the ring. A thunderous roar rang out. From the sky, it is estimated that this storm will not be small and may last for a long time. Roar! Bai Hu stood up and looked at the entrance of the cave. Although the entrance was not too large, it was facing the forest and was easily exposed. If he stayed for a few days, he needed to do some simple covering. White Tiger quickly left the cave. For a long time, the white tiger dragged a brown bear into the cave, which was the food for the next few days. Then, a small and peculiar fruit tree came along to block the cave. White Tiger remained quite vigilant and had already patrolled the surroundings. The brown bear is enough food for one person and one tiger for the next few days, and the fruit tree is just used to cover the cave entrance, which is also good for sheltering from wind and rain. For a while, Chen Mo rubbed his tired head, feeling mentally exhausted. Using his divine sense to erase the imprint of his divine sense on the ring consumed a lot of energy. However, Chen Mo still mustered up his energy and started working. Taking out the stone knife from the bearskin bag, Chen Mo began to deal with the brown bear. The bear had already been killed, and if not dealt with quickly, the bear meat would not be delicious. Brown bear fur can be used to make clothes, and bear liver is also a good medicinal herb. For meat, it can only be eaten on the stomach, and bear paws are difficult to handle. If not handled properly, they will be unpleasant to eat, so simply discard them. Even though the living conditions are difficult, Chen Mo has no intention of drinking blood. Taking advantage of the heavy rain to quickly deal with the brown bear, Chen Mo was not worried about the bloody smell attracting other creatures. The forests of this world are ultimately different from the earth, and the smell of blood often represents a threat. In addition, rainy days may not easily attract other predators. The correct way to survive is to smell the smell of blood and stay away without lacking food. Just as he was about to take a nap to replenish his energy, Chen Mo turned his gaze to the fruit tree at the entrance of the cave. It seems like I haven't eaten any fruit for a long time in my impression. The fruit on top looks very special and has a bright color. Generally, this type of fruit is poisonous. Without much hesitation, Chen Mo stepped forward and picked a few. Even under difficult conditions, it is necessary to supplement nutrition. Eating meat with a white tiger every day is indeed somewhat difficult. It's rare for fruits to appear, so it's also good to supplement with some vitamins. Without considering it, Chen Mo started eating directly. Anyway, with the assistance of a pastor, he is not afraid of poison. Therapeutic techniques can be used to heal injuries, purification techniques can be used to dispel negative states, and poison is also a type of negative state. If you really don't want to rely on unlimited treatment, you can still resist it without being too careful. A series of priest auxiliary skills, each corresponding to a different direction, but completely covering all directions, as long as there is still one breath, rescuing is completely stress-free. Without a blue bar, coupled with the assistance of a priest without cooldown, as long as Chen Mo doesn't want to die, he can definitely be saved. Although there are still many issues with cheating assistance, the effectiveness of survival is definitely top-notch. Not only that, cheating skills are also graded, and the difference between level 1 healing and level 2 healing is not just the amount of recovery. High-level treatment techniques can make people vomit blood, which is a symptom that the body cannot bear due to excessive recovery. Don't ask Chen Mo how he knows. The fruit is very fragrant and sweet, with a fermented alcoholic taste. The strong taste has uplifted Chen Mo's spirit a bit. This fruit is a bit overpowering. Chen Mo shook his head vigorously, feeling tired and intoxicated, feeling a bit overwhelmed with drowsiness. To be on the safe side, Chen Mo still applied a purification technique to himself, and the feeling of drunkenness was instantly dispelled. There is no poisoning, which means that this fruit belongs to the wine fruit category and seems to be good. Chen Mo raised his eyebrows, which was an unexpected joy. But my spirit is still a bit tired. Blessing techniques can at most forcefully uplift one's spirit and make one excited, but they cannot eliminate fatigue. Finally, it is inevitable to need a night's rest. After eating a few more fruits, Chen Mo took advantage of the rising drowsiness and leaned against the white tiger to fall asleep on the bearskin blanket. Bai Hu raised his eyes slightly and stopped paying attention to Chen Mo beside him. Wake up from a nap. The heavy rain outside is still pouring, and the day has already brightened. Under the dark clouds, there is an almost indistinct rain curtain. This time, the rain is somewhat exaggerated. Jarvis. Sir, do you have any instructions? Turn down the flames, this cave is getting a bit hot. Congenital cultivation can basically be fearless of water and fire, but it can regulate temperature. Why use true qi to resist? The flames on the ashes of the bonfire have decreased slightly. Sir, how about this size? Okay. Chen Mo glanced at the fireball above the ashes of the bonfire, and with the help of a small amount of wood, the bonfire could not support the burning all night. But cheating is possible. Flame belongs to a type of energy, and Chen Mo can maintain it all the time without adding materials, which is quite convenient. If it weren't for the fireball burning out of thin air, it would be strange, Chen Mo wouldn't even need campwood. However, after all, Chen Mo is human. Even though he has now become associated with the white tiger, he still wants to preserve some human habits as much as possible. Taking a glance at Chen Mo, who was still focused on studying the ring, Bai Hu lightly lifted his paw and clicked on Chen Mo. Staying in the cave on rainy days is a bit boring, and White Tiger doesn't want to sleep anymore. Chen Mo looked at the square drawn by tiger claws in front of him, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Brother Tiger, as a tiger, you shouldn't play chess, it doesn't fit your identity as a tiger. Roar! The White Tiger lifted it lightly and extended a sharp claw, pushing the stone to a point. Obviously, White Tiger intends to come strong. Chen Mo covered his face directly. Why did he just have a brain twitch and teach the tiger how to play chess? Speaking of which, it seems strange that tigers play chess. Roar! White Tiger began to urge, but Chen Mo reluctantly picked up the wooden stick next to him and broke it, starting to play with White Tiger. Playing chess does not conflict with the spiritual imprint on the ring, as Chen Mo does not need to use his brain to play chess with White Tiger. White Tiger is indeed very intelligent, but it is still not worth considering when it comes to Chen Mo, a master of Gamoku. Quickly, White Tiger lost the first game. Roar! Losing to his own younger brother made Bai Hu very embarrassed, so he planned to start over. Roar! Another round, White Tiger still refuses. In the evening, the cave became noisy, and Chen Mo's voice was somewhat muffled, as if burying his head in a jar to speak. In fact, the scene was similar, and Chen Mo did have a tiger headband on his head. White Tiger was biting Chen Mo's head and didn't bite Chen Mo's neck with force, but he just didn't let go. You let go of me. Chen Mo forcefully pulled the tiger's head, trying to pull the White Tiger down, but the White Tiger, who was in a hurry to lose, refused to let go. I promised not to get angry. Roar! After about half an hour of commotion, Chen Mo's face turned black and he walked out of the cave with a disdainful expression to take a shower in the heavy rain. The feeling of my head in the tiger's mouth is very uncomfortable, it can be said to be extremely bad. But Chen Mo was not angry because he had already guessed the outcome before playing chess. It's hard to say that the quality of the White Tiger is not good, but the chess is really poor. It's typical of being both delicious and playful. The heavy rain still didn't stop. Chen Mo took out the fruit and took a few bites, which tasted very good. In addition, this slightly tipsy feeling made Chen Mo very relaxed. Noticing the gaze of Bai Hu, Chen Mo smiled and said, Bai Hu, do you want to taste it? This is a good thing. White Tiger showed a skeptical expression and did not believe Chen Mo's words. The reason is that this little brother has just been bullied by himself, so I have a long understanding of my own little brother. Chen Mo must not be holding back anything good at this moment. Seeing that Bai Hu didn't believe it, Chen Mo ate several more. With Bai Hu's level of greediness, he didn't believe that Bai Hu wouldn't take the bait. Sure enough. After seeing Chen Mo eating very sweetly, Bai Hu got up and walked to the cave entrance, picking up several fruits and walking in. Unexpectedly, don't believe me. Didn't it be that I made you take a bite of salt before? Chen Mopo was somewhat dissatisfied with Bai Hu's lack of trust, but he didn't say much. This kind of interaction mode is much more fun than the master-servant interaction mode. Indeed, mutual pitfalls are the correct way to open up good friends. After Bai Hu swallowed a few fruits, he stopped eating them and turned to eat grilled meat. As a carnivorous animal, White Tiger truly has no interest in fruits. Immediately after, White Tiger noticed something unusual, with a soft and fluffy body in a dizzy tiger head, feeling inexplicably good. Not bad, right? This type of fruit has a high alcohol content. Chen Mo was also a bit dizzy, praising and speaking to the bright-eyed White Tiger. Drinking alcohol can help people relax, and now this wine fruit can also reach this level. Roar! White Tiger ate several more wine fruits. White Tiger didn't like to eat fruits, but he really enjoyed the feeling of getting drunk. Cheers! Chen Mo picked up the fruit and started eating it. Roar! Chen Mo's words, Bai Hu didn't understand, but he understood the general meaning. It's just about fighting for endurance, let's see who falls first. One person, one tiger, start to mix wine and fruit. Then, there was no more. One person and one tiger fell asleep like this. Chapter 7. Early Congenital Stage. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Open your eyes again. Chen Mo saw the flickering flames at the top of the cave, and the sound of rain outside the cave remained. Memory instantly returned. It was still the cave, and the scene of returning to Earth in my dream did not appear. Do you have thoughts every day and dreams every night? Chen Mo sighed inwardly and sat up. The scene in the dream is so beautiful. Unfortunately, dreams are dreams, and if you can't go back, you can't go back. Rubbing his head, which felt uncomfortable due to a hangover, made Chen Mo feel a bit scared. He couldn't play like this in the future. If one day he and Bai Hu were caught in a pot due to being drunk, it would just cool down. He casually sent himself a purification spell, followed by a blessing spell, and Chen Mo's state instantly recovered. Sure enough, when it comes to critical moments, cheating is still reliable. Just as he was about to get up, Chen Mo suddenly paused. The true qi between the meridians begins to flow faster, and the surrounding spiritual energy also begins to quickly converge, as if a sign of breakthrough. Is this about to break through? Chen Mo was pleasantly surprised and immediately sat cross-legged. The only purpose of sitting cross-legged is to break through faster. The principle is not clear, but it is useful. Chen Mo does not intend to study the principle. Just thinking about it is indeed true. Chen Mo has started using cheats to enhance his strength and is also considering the principle of a hammer. Newton's coffin board had flown somewhere long ago. There is no cultivation method, and Chen Mo's only way of cultivation is to slowly increase his true qi after using external skills. The effect seems to be quite good now. Quickly, Chen Mo's true energy in his body rose to a certain extent, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered around him began to slowly dissipate. The breakthrough is over. At the end of the day, it's just a small breakthrough, and the time it takes is not particularly long. But this made Chen Mo very happy, which proved that Chen Mo's method of improving strength is feasible. Without practicing martial arts, Chen Mo can still rely on external cheats to assist in improving strength. Feeling the true qi inside my body, compared to the true qi of the white tiger next to me, it is obvious that there is still a significant gap. Chen Mo estimated that his realm was probably in the early innate stage, while the realm of the white tiger may be in the mid-innate stage, or even in the late innate stage. There is still a considerable gap. But it is also very surprising, which proves that the method of improving strength through brush therapy in daily life is useful and appears to have significant effects. This setting, where every successful use of a healing technique adds a hint of true energy, is very suitable for Chen Mo today. Moreover, this cultivation method is feasible and there has been no situation where the body is unable to withstand the increase in strength for the time being. Actually, Chen Mo is not sure whether the current increase in true qi is excessive. But at the very least, according to Chen Mo's previous estimate of using pastor skills to increase the amount of true qi, it has not yet reached a level that Chen Mo cannot bear. This is what makes Chen Mo the happiest. Nowadays, Chen Mo is seeking stability and does not intend to become fat in one bite, nor is he in a hurry to improve his strength. With the assistance of cheats, as long as you don't die, you can definitely become the top-level powerhouse. Roar. Bai Hu opened his tiger eyes and looked at Chen Mo with a puzzled expression. Bai Hu was surprised by Chen Mo's breakthrough. With normal cultivation, Chen Mo should not have broken through so quickly. Moreover, it seems that Chen Mo does not absorb spiritual energy for refinement. White Tiger is very interested in this unique way of improvement. My method of cultivation is of no use to you. The white tiger lost interest in an instant, and its head fell down again. After using cheats for so long, Chen Mo has indeed developed some things, some of which can be given to other organisms, while others cannot. It's completely useless for Chen Mo to use healing techniques to increase the true qi of Bai Hu. This kind of improvement seems to be only possible for Chen Mo himself to succeed. Unless White Tiger can also use healing techniques, it may be possible to give it a try. But currently, Chen Mo has not understood how to make White Tiger use cheats. The Collaborative Cheating Assistance Program has indeed been written, but whether it is useful or not still needs to be tested. Unfortunately, White Tiger does not have the talent in this area. When it comes to conducting experiments, White Tiger is not particularly cooperative, and the experimental tests can only be temporarily put on hold. The main reason is that it is not suitable to study cheats on the way, and the battles are too frequent. A little carelessness can lead to combat, and it is not suitable to study the extension and use methods of cheating assistance. And how can Chen Mo teach others the principle of using therapeutic techniques if he can't figure it out on his own? Besides, it's still not a human White Tiger. For Chen Mo, healing is a skill composed of a series of codes. Chen Mo doesn't understand how skills become practical things. The specific internal principles are not understood by Chen Mo himself. It is hard to say whether teaching can be successful, but by who will definitely not be able to learn. Chen Mo can be certain of this. Of course, Chen Mo could also write a cheat about how much meat to eat that can enhance true qi, and the result is that Chen Mo has an additional way to enhance it that is similar to the assistance of a priest's cheat. It has no effect on the White Tiger at all. The only difficulty is how to control the amount of increased true qi, which is similar to how a priest assists in enhancing strength. Essentially, there is not much difference between the two types of cheating assistance. In the future, similar improvement methods may be developed, but all of this can only be verified in a safe place. Roar. White Tiger no longer hesitated about those things, looking towards the cave entrance, his gaze fixed on the fruit tree at the entrance. There was a hint of fear in the tiger's eyes. White Tiger realized that he didn't have the memories of last night, which was quite frightening. The fruit seemed to be poisonous, which was White Tiger's current thought. Chen Mo burst into laughter upon seeing this. It's still raining heavily outside, and the sky is getting even darker. A giant black vortex is condensing above my head, with a faint white light at the center, as if the end of the day is coming. The celestial phenomena are somewhat frightening. Chen Mo continued to wear away the divine sense imprint on the ring. After several days of wear and tear, the imprint had become very weak and could be worn away at any time. At the end of the day, the ring owner has been dead for too long, and the divine sense imprint is very weak. In addition, Chen Mo has been constantly passing away these days. There are few remaining imprints of divine consciousness. Click. As if something had broken, the divine imprint on the ring was completely shattered. Chen Mo's face lit up with a joyful look, and he finally got it done. Divine consciousness enters. That feeling is very strange, as if suddenly there are two perspectives. One is the perspective that Chen Mo's eyes see, and the other is a gray-black space. The gray-black space is not very large, about 10 cubic meters in size, with many things stacked inside. There are quite a few elixirs, yellowed books, a small pile of immortal stones, and some miscellaneous items such as clothes. This is a storage ring. Chen Mo felt a little excited inside. The storage ring arrived too timely. One person, one tiger, many things had to be discarded due to rushing on the road. Now with storage rings, living conditions can at least be greatly improved. Next, there's no need to carry a bearskin bag on your way, just thinking about it makes you happy. Jarvis, it's time for work. Picking up a yellowed book, I still couldn't understand it, but that didn't prevent Chen Mo from including the content in the book. The manual admission method was no longer needed after Chen Mo gained divine consciousness. The perception of divine consciousness, which can be released externally, can be directly copied and entered into the system space's indexing program by Chen Mo when in contact with the outside world, and its efficiency is incomparable. Chen Mo is not sure how much capacity his system space really has, and he probably won't be too small. Even if he encounters a situation of insufficient memory one day in the future, he can delete some unimportant things. The inclusion of these now is purely due to Chen Mo's collection obsession. Sir, the vast majority of the books are about refining medicines, some of which are suspected to be cultivation methods. I know. Chen Mo is not blind, so he can naturally see it, but it's useless to see it. He doesn't recognize words and can't understand them at all. Learning recklessly without recognizing words is killing oneself, and Chen Mo has no intention of doing so. Spending the afternoon, Chen Mo sorted out the items in the storage ring, threw away any unnecessary items, and then put the contents of the bear skin bag into the storage ring. Instantly relaxed all over. Everything is developing in a positive direction. Not to mention, I cleaned the clothes and made some changes to fit well. They look more like a person than the previous animal leather clothes. Brother Tiger, don't say I don't take care of you. There are no cheats, you need to work hard to cultivate. Chen Mo took out a spiritual medicine and stuffed it into the mouth of the white tiger. If the white tiger eats too much, it will fall asleep, so it can only be considered. Fortunately, there is a lot of inventory in the storage ring. Bai Hu didn't understand, but he understood Chen Mo's meaning. Isn't it just urging himself to practice? That's no problem. This little brother, he still respects his elder brother very much. He doesn't want any spiritual medicine and gives it to himself. Bai Hu is very moved. Bai Hu is not sure, Chen Mo cannot directly swallow the spiritual medicine. The tiger's head rested on its paws, falling into a false sleep, while the white tiger focused on refining the power of the spiritual medicine. Walking to the entrance of the cave, I wonder when the rain will stop. Chen Mo is also unclear when he and Bai Hu will be able to leave this forest. Until now, Chen Mo himself is not sure how far he has gone with Bai Hu, but he still cannot see the boundary of the forest, as if it is boundless. This kind of forest area is really a bit outrageous. With nothing to do, Chen Mo started digging stones. Previously, due to inconvenience in carrying them, he discarded most of the eating utensils, and some were lost in battle. Since we have storage rings, stone pots, stone bowls, stone basins, and so on, we can almost arrange them again. Fortunately, with the support of innate physical strength, it is not as difficult to handle these things as before. Chen Mo doesn't have much forging technology, he can only use the most primitive method, digging large stones and hollowing them out, and then mixing some plant juice to prevent the stone pot from cracking. The success rate is very low, but in absolute numbers, Chen Mo still succeeded several times. Of course, in the future use, Chen Mo cannot guarantee that there will be several issues that do not crack. Just make do with it, it's really hard to choose now. Production completed. As the rain washed away the cookware, lightning roared and Chen Mo was slightly taken aback. That's a bird's egg. Chen Mo saw 3 very large eggs in the bird's nest on a nearby tree branch, which were visually similar in size to ostrich eggs. It should be the rain that knocked down the obstruction above, causing the nest to be exposed. For a while, Chen Mo felt a bit hot-eyed and hadn't eaten any serious food for a long time. Even boiled eggs have a great taste, and for a while, Chen Mo's eyes became brighter and brighter. Do whatever you want. Without hesitation, Chen Mo quickly walked out of the cave and looked around to ensure safety. Jarvis. Sir, absolute concealment has been activated. Accompanied by Jarvis's warning tone, Chen Mo's figure disappeared in place, only his breath and figure were hidden, and Chen Mo was still in place. Without much thought, Chen Mo quickly ran towards the bird egg, climbed to the tree branch 3 times, wrapped the egg in his clothes, and quickly evacuated. 10 minutes later. Chen Mo's mouth watered as he looked at the 3 giant eggs in front of him, and for the first time, he felt that eating eggs was also such an anticipated thing. It would be even better if he could have fried eggs, but Chen Mo has no oil, and even has very little salt left, so he can only eat boiled eggs. It's not easy to eat eggs in this rundown place, and Chen Mo has a feeling of tears in his eyes. Still the same old trick, whether it's poisonous or not, let's try it first. In the primitive forest, some food is better than nothing. This is the principle of one person, one tiger. In order to prevent the stone pot from cracking, Chen Mo did not use the stone pot this time, but directly punched a hole in the stone. After putting on the leaves, pour water and start steaming on the spot. 3 giant eggs are definitely enough to eat. White tiger's eyes opened slightly, then closed again, focusing on refining the medicinal power in his body. All day long, Chen Mo didn't stop, tapping and making a lot of noise, and Bai Hu had become accustomed to it. Watching the bubbling water, Chen Mo stared straight at the giant egg in the water, his taste buds salivating. After ensuring that it is fully cooked, Chen Mo took out one and rolled it in front of Bai Hu. The tiger's eyes widened slightly, glanced at the giant egg, and closed their eyes with some disdain. Bai Hu feels that Chen Mo, this little brother, may have misunderstood something. As a tiger, even if you had a whim to eat some fruits yesterday, it doesn't mean that the white tiger will like Chen Mo to eat some messy things. As a tiger, it is natural to eat meat, whether it is eggs or fruits. Only when there is no shortage of food can a white tiger avoid eating those messy things. I don't recognize good people. Bai Hu's reaction made Chen Mo a bit unhappy. With such a high protein content, Bai Hu had no interest at all. Bai Hu ignored Chen Mo and focused on refining the power of the spiritual medicine. Although it is unclear when this storm will come to an end, White Tiger knows very well that this little brother will definitely continue his journey as soon as the storm stops. White Tiger needs to hurry up and thoroughly refine and absorb that medicinal power before the storm ends. Throughout the battle, White Tiger became increasingly aware that strength is the foundation for one person, one tiger's survival. Put the remaining 2 giant eggs into the storage ring, and Chen Mo knocks open the last one. The inside is similar to a large egg, and Chen Mo's eyes slightly brighten when he sees this. Despite scalding his mouth, Chen Mo took a big bite, which tasted similar to an egg, but this familiar taste made Chen Mo feel like crying. Since arriving at this dilapidated place, I have been able to eat at most, but I definitely can't eat well. And he also has to be careful of being targeted by certain monsters at all times. He is mentally tense and doesn't want to let go. Chen Mo doesn't even know how he persevered. Boom! Thunder echoed outside, and Chen Mo's egg-eating hand paused slightly, looking out of the cave. The rainstorm is heavier, and the cloud layer is also lower. It is clearly daytime, but it is similar to the scene of night. This bad weather is a bit outrageous. Chen Mo was a bit surprised. It had been raining for almost a week, but it didn't stop and it was getting even worse. In the distance, many trees have even been uprooted, and the weather is completely abnormal due to the strong wind and rain. Fortunately, the cave is located at the back of the wind and has not been greatly affected. Accidentally, Li saw several swaying shadows. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed slightly. Is that a person? Or is it humanoid warcraft? Chen Mo was instantly alert, followed by some hesitation. Chen Mo hesitated whether to attract the other person's attention. If it's warcraft, there may be a battle ahead. If the opponent is human, it means that Chen Mo can at least get a map. The most ideal scenario would be to be taken out of this forest, but it's a bit unrealistic. Take a gamble. Jarvis, fire warning. Brother Tiger, we should get up and get some activity now. The flames rising from the entrance of the cave flashed away in a flash. Chen Mo believes that if those are people, they can definitely be seen, and then we can take one step at a time to see. White Tiger also slowly stood up and stood beside Chen Mo, with tiger eyes fixed on the distant grass. Unlike Chen Mo, Bai Hu could feel several breaths in the tall grass, and even smell a faint smell of blood. Chapter 8. Goodwill Invitation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The pouring rain and lightning intertwined, and the scene outside the cave became very blurry. At this point, it looks like night outside, with strong winds and a very harsh environment. Chen Mo stared fixedly at the swaying grass in the distance. If there were really people inside, they wouldn't have left directly. This cave is the only place nearby to take shelter from wind and rain. Even practitioners would not venture into this forest in such harsh weather. As long as the other party is willing to come. After this incident, even if it didn't go well, Chen Mo could still obtain a map. Even if the other party didn't have a map, they should be able to determine a rough direction. Risk and opportunity coexist, and Chen Mo plans to take a gamble. Chen Mo is really tired of the aimless way he used to travel. The way of rushing with no hope at all, always needing to be vigilant for accidents, and continuing on, Chen Mo felt that his mental state might be in danger. Chen Mo is eager to change this situation. There was only the rumbling thunder and the clattering rain in my ears, and the grass was still swaying in the wind, but nothing appeared. Can it be that I misread it? Chen Mo glanced at the white tiger, and from its reaction, it was evident that there was indeed something present in the grass. For a long time, a figure walked out of the grass. Chen Mo's eyes tightened, and in such a dim environment, what he saw was not particularly vivid. But from a physical perspective, it should be a person. The other person is still holding something, like a weapon. Taking a deep breath, Chen Mo waved his hand and gestured for the other person to come over. With such heavy rain and lightning intertwined, anyone with a little brain would not rush in this situation. Searching for other caves is highly likely to collide with other monsters, making it even more dangerous. The other party clearly hesitated. Chen Mo didn't make any unnecessary moves, the other party was hesitating, and Chen Mo was also vigilant. There are no friends in this forest, only the fittest. Only with sufficient vigilance can one survive. A few more minutes passed. In the grass, two more people appeared, one of whom was being carried by another person, seemingly injured. Chen Mo lightly patted the tiger's head and retreated directly to the cave. Next, we have to see if the other party is willing to gamble. There are a few people on the other side, but someone has been injured. Chen Mo feels a little relieved. From the other party's situation, as long as they show some abnormalities, they will probably leave directly. Chen Mo hesitated and gave up like this, but also felt a bit unwilling. I really don't want to keep rushing like this. I've been aimlessly driving, and my mind is uncertain which day there will be a problem. More than 10 minutes passed. A pleasant call came from the cave entrance, the sound was light and pleasant, but unfortunately, Chen Mo couldn't understand. The language in this world is really strange, but it sounds strange and pleasant. Chen Mo pondered to himself and took the initiative to speak, "Come in, we have no ill intentions." In the words, there is a hint of divine consciousness mixed in. Even if the other party cannot distinguish, the meaning in Chen Mo's words can still be felt through divine awareness. This is also a helpless move. After coming into this world, Chen Mo suffered too much from language barriers, and so far, it seems that he still has to continue to suffer from this loss. Accompanied by the low sound of raindrops, the two of them helped a beautiful girl walk in. One man and two women are very beautiful, definitely belonging to the type of handsome men and beautiful women. The clothes on the body are somewhat special, looking like the attire of ancient guards. Is this the humanity of this world? While Chen Mo was scrutinizing the other party, they were also scrutinizing Chen Mo and Bai Hu. The three of them focused their eyes on Bai Hu and then sat at a distance from Chen Mo, watching each person and tiger with caution. I have no ill intentions. Watching the other person's reaction, Chen Mo patted the tiger's head. The white tiger tacitly moved away from the central bonfire for a distance, actively releasing Goodwill, and then it was easy to communicate. The three of them hesitated for a moment when they saw the behavior of Chen Mo and Bai Hu, and then approached some bonfires. The warm flames dissipated the chill from the three of them, and the girl began to cough violently, with blood oozing from the corners of her mouth. It is not difficult to see that there are marks of bandages on the girl's abdomen. A man and a woman should be guards, carrying a long bow and arrow pot on their back. The girl in the middle exudes a noble aura, which can be clearly felt. Injured. Chen Mo raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw this, and now he's doing business. Without hesitation, 3 healing techniques, 1 purification technique, and 1 blessing technique directly penetrated the girl's body. Since it's not possible to communicate directly, let's just point it out. Sensing Chen Mo's movements, the guard-like man instantly raised his long bow and aimed at him. The white tiger mouth energy ball converged, and for a moment the atmosphere was somewhat tense. Soon, the male guard was stopped by the female guard because the girl's injury had already healed, and even her weak face had disappeared. The abdominal wound also disappeared together. Obviously, Chen Mo was just helping with the rescue. Chen Mo lightly patted the tiger's head. The energy ball in white tiger's mouth slowly disappeared, but tiger's eyes remained fixed on the 3 people across from him. This distance was really advantageous for white tiger when fighting. The female guard tentatively spoke up and said something. Chen Mo shook his head and responded, "I can't understand what you're saying." The female guard continued to speak, judging from her voice, there were probably more than 10 different languages. Chen Mo has a helpless expression on his side, he really can't understand anything, it's really frustrating. Chen Mo also doesn't expect the female guards to speak Chinese at all, which is unrealistic. After treating the girl, the atmosphere between the 2 sides eased a lot and communication was possible, but at most simple communication could be conducted. Telepathy or something, without this technology, telepathic transmission can at most communicate some simple things. For example, releasing malice and goodwill, threats and warnings, as well as making the other party understand the meaning in the language, is completely useless. At present, it seems that the other party is also in the same state, completely unable to understand Chinese. "I completely don't understand what you're saying." Chen Mo spread out his hand with a helpless expression on his face, and the female guard fell into a brief silence. Chen Mo's words were not understood by the female guard, but from Chen Mo's expression and movements, the female guard understood what Chen Mo meant. Language barrier is an unavoidable issue. After a brief silence, Chen Mo decided to get to the point. He just wanted a map, which seemed easy to express. With this in mind, Chen Mo began to write and draw on the stones, including patterns of forests and rivers, with his fingers making a gesture of departure, and finally adding an arrow. The female guard understood and took out a parchment scroll from inside her clothes, which looked like a map. Chen Mo's eyes lit up, "That's what he wants." But when she handed it to Chen Mo, the female guard said something else, but Chen Mo still didn't understand. Seeing Chen Mo's reaction, the female guard took out arrows and carved them on the stone. Then, Chen Mo understood. The map of the female guard does not cover all the forest, only a small part of the map, and this area is beyond the map range, and the map is no longer useful. After a series of troublesome exchanges, Chen Mo knew that the 3 people in front of him were probably from the southeast direction, and then there was no more. It's really difficult to communicate. Now, Chen Mo has 2 rush plans. Firstly, follow the 3 people to each other's territory, and you may obtain a map. However, since the other person's territory is in the forest, there is no guarantee that there will be a map to the human world. Moreover, when you arrive at their territory, you may encounter some problems. Secondly, continue to follow the original route and move in one direction until you step out of this forest. Chen Mo looked at the map and pondered. The 3 people in front of him looked different from the human bones he had encountered in the cave before. Should he go and take a look? Moreover, the other party may not be willing to let Chen Mo return to the clan territory, which is also an unavoidable issue. Chen Mo also knows that the vast majority of races living in isolated forests are very exclusive, and it may not be safer to stay in their territory than to stay in the forest. Even if Chen Mo saves the other party, they may not necessarily be grateful, and in the end, it may be a waste of time. With a sigh, Chen Mo put down the map, looking helpless. He just wanted to return to the human world. Is it so difficult? Chen Mo's words were not understood by the female guard, but Chen Mo's expression and his behavior of requesting a map just now made the female guard understand. Chen Mo clearly wanted to leave this forest, or rather got lost in the forest. This problem can indeed be solved. The female guard began to communicate with the male guard, and Chen Mo was unclear about what they were arguing about. But after the argument, the female guard actually signaled that Chen Mo would leave with the three of them. Obviously, the two of them were just debating whether to bring Chen Mo back to the ancestral land. Do you have a solution? Chen Mo continued to carve on the stone, and he really didn't want to travel so quickly. He decided to take another gamble. The female and male guards did not respond this time, but the central girl nodded. When she saw the girl nod, the two guards nodded together. Thank you very much, I just need a map. Anyway, in this perilous forest, we are also gambling. Since that's the case, it's better to bet on the more likely savage race. That's right. Chen Mo has already regarded the three people in front of him as the savage race. In his impression, the race that lives in the forest and is isolated from the world is the savage race. But even the savage race should have some records of contact with humans, right? No matter how difficult it is to get a larger set of maps. In short, don't let Chen Mo rush so aimlessly anymore. The scene fell silent again. Gollum, the originally quiet cave, suddenly heard a sound, and Chen Mo followed the sound and looked at the girl. At this moment, the girl blushed and covered her face. The female and male guards said something about their plans to get up, but were held back by the male guard. Immediately after, the male guard grabbed the long bough and stood up, seemingly intending to search for food. Chen Mo waved his hand and pulled out a deer leg and some bear meat from the storage ring, and finally pulled out a giant egg. The three of them looked at the food in front of them, shook their heads slightly, and finally the female guard took the giant egg and handed it to the girl. The girl's eyes lit up as she knocked open the giant egg, took a big bite, and her cheeks bulged like a hamster, very cute. The girl handed the giant egg to the female guard's mouth, who shook her head slightly and said something. A vegetarian savage. Chen Mo was a bit surprised, but didn't think much. He handed the deer leg to Bai Hu, who took a bite and started eating it. The male guard still chose to leave, his figure disappearing into the rain. Chen Mo didn't take it seriously and continued to nibble on the bear meat. As for taking out another giant egg, Chen Mo is not that good yet. He can take out the food, but he just wants to not be too nervous when he goes to the opponent's territory next. In summary, releasing one's goodwill is definitely better than releasing malice. Chen Mo has also made up his mind. Next, unless absolutely necessary, it is best not to reveal his super strong cheating ability. The other party is afraid of luring wolves into the room, and Chen Mo is also worried about the other party's malicious intentions. We'll wait until we get the map or know the direction to leave this forest. Soon, the male guard returned. He packed a bunch of fruits, with many types, but all of them were wild fruits. Chen Mo confirmed one thing. These wild people are really just vegetarians. White Tiger's eyes showed disdain, not liking the food preferences of the nearby group of upright apes. The male guard did not show any hostility this time, only placed a few unknown fruits next to Chen Mo. Goodwill is mutual, and Chen Mo has released his goodwill, and the male guards will not deliberately target him. No matter how Chen Mo said it, he also saved the little princess. Even if it were a human, the elf tribe would not seek revenge. The thunder outside still echoed, and the strong wind carried heavy rain as Chen Mo looked out of the cave. Eyebrow slightly raised. What kind of garbage weather is this? It's raining heavily, but it's accompanied by hail. Walk to the entrance of the cave. Feeling the heaviness and coldness of his palm, Chen Mo was sure it was hail and couldn't help but tug at the corner of his mouth. Looking at the girl trembling slightly, Chen Mo thought to herself, "Jarvis, increase the flame a bit." The campfire flames began to expand and then grew in a circle. "Sir, the flames have expanded." The changes in the campfire could not be concealed from the three of them. They all looked at Chen Mo together, and Chen Mo nodded slightly. The three of them showed a grateful expression on their faces, soaked all over. In this environment, even against the fire, it was still very cold, and now it's much better. "Jarvis, can you judge the strength of the three of them?" "Sir, you can't tell the opponent's strength solely from their appearance. An obvious thing. Unless the other party actively exposes, it is difficult to determine their strength, just as it is difficult to judge the strength of the other party when encountering someone. If the option of strength level is added, it will be even more difficult to determine the strength of the opponent, unless the level is much greater than the opponent, in order to see it. Jarvis. "Sir, I'm here." Jarvis's voice rang out. Next, the cheat switch will focus on priest assistance and defense assistance. "Sir, the new command has been received. Traveling through the forest and going to other tribes is definitely different. With the addition of cheats, even if you really reach the opponent's territory, you are not afraid of anything. It's just that Chen Mo is worried that if the other tribe has strength far beyond the Golden Core Avenue, it will be difficult to do. Cheating is not omnipotent. Chen Mo is really afraid that if it is sealed, it will be ruined. Of course, if the cheat is not restricted, even if it really falls out, it will be easy for Chen Mo to leave under the absolute attack attribute cheat. Even the savage tribe doesn't want to see the entire clan land turn into flying ash in an instant, do they? Besides, Chen Mo just wants a map. Of course, if the other party is very cooperative, that would be great, and Chen Mo doesn't want any conflict to occur. But not wanting to, doesn't mean you definitely won't. After all, this is a different world, and Chen Mo cannot guarantee that his words and actions will not touch some of the other person's nerves. Chapter 9. Elf Clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sky is gradually clearing up. I can clearly feel that the temperature outside has dropped significantly, many places have already frozen, the air outside is much fresher, and the storm has passed. Get along for a few days. Chen Mo could feel that the three savages had relaxed a lot towards his side, but they had not completely relaxed their vigilance. This is also quite good. After all, Chen Mo has no intention of entering the opponent's territory in the future. The ideal state is for Chen Mo to obtain the map without entering the wilderness territory. After the sun came out, everyone set off directly. The female guard walked ahead and said something, gesturing for Chen Mo to follow. Chen Mo and Bai Hu exchanged a glance, each cooperating harmoniously and maintaining a certain distance to keep up. Be prepared for combat at any time. Without using hidden cheats, Chen Mo estimated that the likelihood of a battle occurring was higher. Quickly, Chen Mo realized something. The survival experience of the three savages in the forest is extremely sophisticated, and they don't know how to achieve it. Along the way, circling around from east to west, there were no powerful monsters encountered. This magical operation surprised Chen Mo a bit. You should know that Chen Mo has not activated his super strong stealth skill now. Surprisingly, one can achieve this level through experience. This situation is simply unscientific, and Chen Mo feels a bit puzzled. Before Chen Mo and Bai Hu, they were often discovered by Warcraft, and then came to battle to watch. The savages are truly a race living in this forest, and their ability to observe danger alone is beyond the reach of Chen Mo, a novice. Similarly, Chen Mo also knew something that was easily exposed. That is to start a fire in the forest, which is extremely easy to expose, and the smell emitted by baked food can also easily attract the attention of Warcraft. Three savages refused to let Chen Mo cook food on fire. After explaining for a while, Chen Mo realized that Warcraft is very sensitive to changes in the scent of the forest. But just planning to eat fruits all the way back is also a very painful thing. Just as Chen Mo was struggling, Jarvis's voice suddenly rang out. "Sir, based on data analysis, the wild man's proposal is correct." In order to avoid Chen Mo not understanding, Jarvis will analyze various behaviors before encountering Warcraft along the way and list several analysis advantage charts. The trend chart clearly indicates that the probability of being discovered is only 5% when driving with a hidden figure, but after being discovered by Warcraft, the probability of a battle occurring is 98%. The probability of being discovered during the cooking process is 90%, and after being discovered by Warcraft, there is also a 75% chance of combat occurring. A considerable portion of the battles occur before and after meals. A series of data proves two things. Firstly, if discovered while hiding, it will be considered an enemy by Warcraft, and once discovered, it will be a never-ending situation. Secondly, it is not advisable to start a fire and cook in the forest, as it can easily attract the attention of Warcraft. I didn't pay attention before, but now that Jarvis has listed the data, Chen Mo can see it very clearly. A few people continued on their journey. After a long journey, the female guard only showed a joyful expression when she saw a special mountain and rock. Then he started walking according to the map and finally came to a forest. "Is this your tribe's territory?" Chen Mo looked at the empty forest in front of him and tugged at the corners of his mouth, feeling that he had overestimated the territory of these three savages. What kind of clan land is this empty forest? The female guard didn't speak because she was very clear, and even if she spoke and explained, Chen Mo couldn't understand. Directly raising his hand, the blue jewelry on his wrist emitted a special light, and then a small path appeared in front of him. Is this some kind of formation? Chen Mo's pupils contracted slightly. 3 people stepped into it. Chen Mo and Bai Hu followed behind together, as if passing through a thin film, and the scenery in front of them instantly changed. As if arriving at a city in an instant, the walls of the wooden city exude a metallic color and look very hard. There are patrol teams on the city wall, and there are many guards at the entrance. The city wall stretches endlessly to unknown directions. This is a very ancient city, and Chen Mo was shocked. It's hard to imagine that there is a city in this forest. The appearance of a few people instantly caught the attention of the guards, but when they noticed the central girl, the guards all showed a joyful look. Even a patrol team ran out. Chen Mo and Bai Hu stood still, with no intention of following them into the city. They were only here for the map. Even if he saved the other party, Chen Mo still maintained a considerable sense of vigilance and a strong sense of defense. There must be many experts in such a large city. From the hostile gaze of the guards, it seemed that these savages did not welcome humans very much, and Chen Mo did not want to touch this mold at all. But there is no intention of leaving directly, no matter what, saving people and asking for a map is not excessive. Chen Mo even felt that many bows and arrows were aimed at him and White Tiger, and he couldn't act rashly for the time being. He just mentally prepared Jarvis for a big fight. The girl shouted loudly, and the guards lowered their bows and arrows. The girl ran over and pulled Chen Mo, as if wanting to take him into the city. Chen Mo couldn't help but tug at the corner of his mouth when he saw this. After returning to this city, the girl seemed much bolder, but Chen Mo really didn't want to enter the city. I only need a map and directions. Chen Mo repeated the most repeated words during this period. Even if the girl didn't understand, Chen Mo believed that the other person understood what it meant. This is something that was previously discussed. Although Chen Mo really wants to visit the city, he still wants to try his best to avoid any disputes. This sharp-eared savage tribe clearly doesn't welcome outsiders, and Chen Mo doesn't intend to make things worse for himself. And killing and killing Warcraft are still different. Chen Mo didn't want to cause trouble until the end, so he used cheats to completely overturn this city. There's no need to make such a fuss for a map. The girl quickly said something with excitement in her voice, and Chen Mo tilted his head slightly, not quite understanding. What exactly is this product talking about? During the tug of war, a group of guards walked out, and in the center was a woman who was very similar to the girl, wearing a crown and holding a scepter, seemingly a leader or something like that. In just an instant, Chen Mo determined that his identity in rescuing the girl before was probably that of a tribal princess or something like that. Chen Mo's gaze instantly fell on the queen's bodyguard, that powerful aura. It's not wrong. At least the strength of the golden elixir period is something that even if there are cheats, Chen Mo's hen still needs to treat seriously. We have no ill intentions. Since the young master has saved my daughter, why don't you come to my elf tribe to sit down? The crisp and pleasant female voice rang directly in Chen Mo's mind, causing him to be slightly stunned. Surprisingly, it's an elf race. Is this kind of dialogue that directly appears in the mind some kind of telepathic ability of the elf queen? Chen Mo began to think quickly in his heart. I don't have any malice either, I just want a map to leave this forest. Chen Mo tried to speak up, but since the elf queen can telepathize, she should know what she means, right? It's just a map, does it need to be like guarding against thieves? In this situation, Chen Mo estimates that even if he wants to run, it will not be easy. Chen Mo's reaction caught the attention of the elf queen. The unusually cautious little guy in front of her didn't seem to be the same group of humans as before. But until it is confirmed that the little princess has not been tampered with by this human, it is better for this human to stay in the elf tribe for observation. Humans are all skilled in calculation and must be guarded against. In just an instant, the elf queen made a decision and signaled to the elf guard beside her. Isn't it troublesome if you don't understand the language? I have a language teacher in my elf tribe. Perhaps the young master can learn human language first and then set off. Chen Mo hesitated a bit. Entering the city may mean being controlled by others. From the other party's reaction, it seems that they don't intend to just leave like this. It seems very uneconomical to just cheat and cause a falling out, and it may not be possible to just leave like this. Thinking of this, Chen Mo sighed inwardly, wondering what it was all about. The elf race should be a peace-loving race, but Chen Mo cannot be certain whether the elf races in this world love peace. Just as Chen Mo continued to hesitate, a male elf holding a chest-ring sword suddenly appeared not far away. Chen Mo's eyes tightened instantly, and after taking a long breath, he patted the tiger's head. It seems that the elf tribe has no intention of letting Chen Mo leave for now. The appearance of the other party represents something. If the other party really has an intention, Chen Mo will not have any chance. There is only one possibility that can cause this phenomenon, the existence above the golden elixir. Okay, then let me trouble you all for a while. The other party has already given a lot of face. If there is really a fight, Chen Mo will have no chance except for the same way of dying. At least I saved the other party's little princess myself, but things turned out like this. I don't know your name, sir. A male elf spoke up. Chen Mo felt a bit helpless. Although he didn't know why the elf tribe treated him like this, he could only handle it according to the situation. He was not afraid of the other party turning his back even if there were cheats. My name is Chen Mo, and this is Bai Hu. Chen Mo was about to move forward when he was stopped by a white tiger. The tiger's head swung repeatedly, indicating that Chen Mo should leave quickly. The meaning of white tiger is very simple. White tiger intends to drag down the elf tribe and make Chen Mo run away quickly. The existence encountered this time is not something that can be pushed back by firepower threat. It's okay, there shouldn't be any problem. Patting the tiger's head, the tiger's eyes flickered slightly. Chen Mo followed directly behind the guards, and White Tiger also followed Chen Mo's side. The guards led Chen Mo and Bai Hu to a courtyard. Young master, thank you very much for your help to the little princess before. If you neglect anything, please forgive me. The female guard apologetically used a telepathic crystal to open her mouth. It's okay, but I'm curious. What's the situation now? Chen Mo at least saved the little princess of the elf tribe, right? It's just a map, and theoretically it shouldn't be treated like this. Chen Mo really doesn't remember any conflicts with the elf tribe. The little princess was abducted by humans before, and her life and death are unknown. Although she has returned now, for the sake of safety. The female guard stopped at this point. Chen Mo's face showed a bitter smile. He was really shot while lying down, and he wondered what the polite and impolite attitude of the elf tribe was like. Elf Palace. On the throne. The elf queen listened to her subordinate's report. Your Majesty, the little princess is in good health and everything is normal. Very healthy. The elf queen looked at the chief guard in confusion, knowing very well about her own daughter's body. No matter what, we can't use the word very healthy. Yes, for some reason, the evil aura on the little princess's body has disappeared. From the traces, it seems that it was dispelled not long ago. Dispel it. The elf queen fell into a brief moment of contemplation, realizing that the young man's medical skills were so remarkable. From the young princess's personal guard's mouth, the elf queen has already understood the process. The human with a white tiger seems to have provided brief treatment to the little princess. I didn't expect that the problem that had been bothering me for a long time would be solved so dramatically. Now it seems that contacting humans to find a way to treat her before, and then being deceived, and the little princess being abducted, is not a waste of work. Although there may be some ups and downs, being able to solve the problem is more important than anything else. Just one thing that needs to be determined now is whether this young man named Chen Mo is an accomplice with the previous group of humans. Brother Chen Mo really has no ill intentions. He just wants a map. The little princess ran over, afraid that her mother would ignore and lock Chen Mo up. Don't worry, my elf tribe never seeks revenge. I will personally handle this matter. Upon hearing these words, the little princess felt relieved, even though the group of humans who had kidnapped her before was indeed very despicable. But the little princess still has a good impression of Chen Mo. The aura that troubles herself and her mother was easily dispelled by Chen Mo, which is really great. That human might be able to do a great favor to the elf tribe. The little princess doesn't want to have too much trouble on both sides. Watching the little princess leave. The elf queen spoke softly, Chief Guard, prepare the banquet. Since the two waves of humans are not part of the same group, the elf queen naturally does not intend to offend Chen Mo too much. If Chen Mo's treatment of the little princess was only to leave the map of this forest, he could actually befriend her. The medical skills are so excellent, and he also saved the little princess, making friends with her is beneficial for the elf tribe. In the world of adults, we don't talk about emotions, only about interests, and the elf queen is also curious about how Chen Mo dispels that aura. It's just that the little princess is too naive. We need to explore it further here. If Chen Mo is not really with the previous group of humans, it is a kindness to the elf tribe, and there is still great kindness. Small courtyard. Young Master Chen Mo, I have offended many before. Here is the entire map of leaving this forest. These are books on commonly used human and elf languages. As per the teacher's instructions, I will come over after the lunch. The chief guard respectfully brought a square plate, on which lay a stack of books and several folded maps, with some belongings at the bottom. Thank you very much. Chen Mo's face lit up with joy and his heart was filled with ecstasy. Finally, I no longer had to rush aimlessly. Although some unpleasantness occurred, Chen Mo was not angry. After all, whether one can be respected in any world depends on their own strength. Although it's unclear what happened to the elf tribe before, just get the map. Thank you for your previous help, young master. If there is any need, our elf tribe will try our best to meet it. The chief guard took out a Pokémon token and handed it to Chen Mo. Chen Mo took the jade pendant and received it as a storage ring, completely ignoring the Pokémon token. There's nothing particularly important, I just need these two. Chen Mo shook the books and maps in his hand, and rescuing them was not even an easy task. Healing techniques, purification techniques, and so on belong to cheats, which are completely unprofitable. Chen Mo is also not interested in blackmailing the elf tribe. After this departure, there is a high probability that there will be no further contact with the elf tribe, mainly for the sake of the map. Chapter 10. Trading with the Elf Clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lunch banquet. Exquisite small tables for 2 people were placed on both sides of the hall, with the elf queen sitting at the highest point. It looks very ceremonial. It's called a luncheon, but in fact, it's more like the welcoming ceremony for the return of the elf girl. As for Chen Mo, it's completely like he's used to make up numbers. Chen Mo and Bai Hu sat alone at a table, surrounded by many elf tribes who were all curious and scrutinizing Chen Mo. From that curious gaze, Chen Mo understood something that even the elf tribe seemed unaware that they were coming. For a moment, Chen Mo felt like he had been tricked. The invitation from the spiritual doctor should have been rejected long ago. This luncheon was clearly not set up to thank oneself. But now that everyone has arrived, Chen Mo can only grit his teeth and continue. On the dining table, there are plenty of fruits and vegetables, which seem to be specially cultivated and contain considerable spiritual energy. Unfortunately, even the liquor is sake. The specifications are quite high, everything is perfect, but Chen Mo doesn't quite understand. This luncheon highlighted one word. Su. There is no meat or fish at all. Those who are vegetarian are unreasonable, while those who are vegetarian make people feel hopeless. The elf race is really a strange race. Chen silently nibbled at the fruits, and his heart was crazy roast. This is too plain. Eating these things all at once, wouldn't you really suffer from malnutrition? Chen Mo is very puzzled. The white tiger beside him also had a constipated expression, which made Chen Mo couldn't help but want to laugh. Do you also have today as a white tiger? Chen Mo and Bai Hu looked at each other and were displeased with each other. In the past, each person and tiger had already started fighting, but now they are in the midst of a banquet. What is this called? If it's not inappropriate, Chen Mo would like to take out the previous roasted bear meat. It's not a rabbit, what's the point of just eating fruits and vegetables? The reaction of one person and one tiger was clear to those elf tribes in the distance. Their expressions varied, but more often than not, they laughed silently. A few insiders have already confirmed that Chen Mo and the previous group are not the same. Chen Mo and Bai Hu's performance is completely a novice in some aspect, not even able to hide their expressions. In this way, including the fact that Chen Mo dispelled the evil aura from the little princess, he was almost a great benefactor of the elf tribe. At this point, the elf tribe was still more curious about Chen Mo. There are still many people who are skeptical about Chen Mo's background, but more elves are curious about Chen Mo's background and how he dispelled the breath on the little princess. The process of the little princess's personal guard's narration is somewhat brief, as if in just an instant, her breath is cleared. But in terms of the strength of Chen Mo and Bai Hu, it is impossible to achieve these things. One person, one tiger, at best only has innate combat power, which makes the entire elf clan feel a tricky aura. How could Chen Mo possibly eliminate it? However, considering that Chen Mo poses no threat to the elf tribe, he is also wary of their actions. This reaction made the elf race even more curious. If the aura on the little princess's body is really dispelled by Chen Mo, the elf tribe doesn't mind befriending Chen Mo, who has helped the elf tribe a lot. Or rather, the elf tribe is very interested in how Chen Mo can eliminate that evil aura. If a method can be obtained, it is very important for today's elf race. Little female spiritual doctor, hearing about Master Chen Mo's medical skills, seems to be very skilled. A elf in green attire at the nearby table spoke softly, shook his glass, and gestured to Chen Mo. Chen Mo was slightly taken aback before noticing the elf girl next to him. She is a young elf girl from the elf tribe. Although she is separated by some distance, her herbal scent is very strong, so she should be a doctor or something like an elf. The luxurious aura of the spiritual doctor made Chen Mo's eyes slightly bright, a beautiful female elf. It's okay, isn't it? Chen Mo smacked his lips. The alcohol content of this drink is better than just taking a sip of the fruit. This luncheon gave Chen Mo a feeling of refreshing and transparent vegetable salad mixed with cold water. If you have time, could Mr. Chen Mo exchange medical skills with me? The spiritual doctor spoke softly, his voice very pleasant. Exchange medical skills. A question mark popped up on Chen Mo's head, and he quickly realized it. He exchanged ideas about the medical skills of a hammer. Where is his medical skills? This is really called a cheat, okay? To be honest, although I can save people, I don't understand medical skills. Chen Mo had a helpless expression on his face, and he was going to learn the language with the elf tribe next. He shouldn't make too much noise. It's okay to learn about medical skills and therapeutic techniques, but Chen Mo still wants to learn human language first. Chen Mo doesn't mind teaching the elf race healing techniques, but the question is, can these elf races really learn cheat skills? Do not understand medical skills. The spiritual doctor was slightly surprised. From Chen Mo's reaction, it can be seen that there are many things. First of all, Chen Mo should not be a deceitful fraudster. He does have a certain level of medical skills, and the sudden reaction cannot be fake. But Chen Mo said he doesn't understand medical skills, and spiritual doctors have some misunderstandings. I only know some directional pastor skills, not pharmacology. While speaking, Chen Mo raised his hand and cast a blessing spell, but did not enter the body of the spiritual doctor. I can use it, but I don't understand. Similar to the Song of Elves, it has an uplifting effect on the spirit. Sensing the confusion of a group of elves, the spiritual doctor spoke softly and explained the effect of Chen Mogong's blessing spell. The words of the spiritual doctor made the elves look different. That is to say, may this human really have a way to dispel the evil aura. It does have a uplifting effect, but I only know how to use these skills, but I don't understand them. Chen Mo silently added in his heart that his understanding was different from that of the elves. Chen Mo's understanding is that a certain skill is composed of a string of code, while the elf tribe roughly understands the effect and release process of this skill. There is a fundamental difference between the two. The spiritual doctor looked at Chen Mo, feeling somewhat speechless and unclear for a moment. Chen Mo didn't understand the principles of the technique, but what was the situation when he was able to release it? If possible, can we exchange medical skills while teaching you language? Spiritual medicine goes straight to the point. To test Chen Mo's case, only her spiritual doctor is more suitable. She is the top physician of the elf tribe. This is no problem. Chen Mo realized that if nothing unexpected happened, the spiritual doctor would probably be his next language teacher. In this way, when learning a language, it doesn't feel much to communicate medical skills along the way. As for how to communicate medical skills, Chen Mo's side unconditionally cooperates, and if the spiritual doctor can study release methods such as therapeutic techniques, Chen Mo doesn't mind learning the principles along the way. Anyway, Chen Mo couldn't figure it out by himself. If spiritual medicine can be learned, perhaps there will be a place to use cheats in collaborative improvement. Why not do it? However, one thing Chen Mo doesn't quite understand is why the elf tribe values his skills so much. Roar! The white tiger let out a low roar, and the whole tiger became a bit irritable because it was all vegetarian fruits. Chen Mo looked at the slightly unhappy white tiger and handed it a spiritual medicine. White tiger swallowed it directly and turned to walk outside the door. Next, I will probably need to stay in the elf tribe for a period of time. White tiger said that as long as there is a spiritual medicine, even if the conditions are more difficult, it is nothing. I won't see these upright apes for now. The food for the white tiger has already been prepared in the yard where the young master is located. The spiritual doctor kindly spoke up to remind Chen Mo, who was slightly taken aback and instantly realized. The elf tribe probably didn't expect that Chen Mo would bring white tiger to the table together. No wonder those elves looked at him so strangely, Chen Mo suddenly realized. Thank you very much. Chen Mo nodded. The elf tribe doesn't seem to be so unreasonable, and they also know that white tigers eat meat. In the afternoon, in the courtyard, the spiritual doctor will take out a book and start explaining the pronunciation and meaning of the characters. I'm not worried that Chen Mo won't know. Even if my memory is poor during my congenital period, I can still remember a rough idea after reading it twice. At most, the spiritual doctor will explain the pronunciation and language meaning. This is a rough idea of human language and elf language. Young master, you only need to practice a little bit next. As expected, Chen Mo learned quickly and had no problem with simple communication. Thank you very much. Chen Mo's face lit up with joy, as he was no longer illiterate. Although the font is still awkward at present, it can still barely communicate with people. At most, language pronunciation requires more practice and does not affect normal communication. You don't need to be polite, young master. If possible, the spiritual doctor wants to represent the elf tribe and make a deal with the young master. The spiritual doctor spoke softly. This time, the spiritual doctor came with a mission. Trading. Is it my medical skills? Chen Mo instantly grasped the key point, and the obvious problem was that the elf tribe seemed to care about his cheating medical skills. Yes, perhaps the young master doesn't know. The little princess was entangled in an evil aura and remained ill for a long time. The elf tribe has been trying to dispel it, but they have been unable to succeed. And the young master has achieved this, so. The spiritual doctor spoke softly, looking at Chen Mo, and continued, we know this is a bit abrupt. Please rest assured, young master. The elf tribe will definitely provide a reward that satisfies young master. In the current situation of the elf race, there is a great need for the method of dispelling evil aura. Of course, the prerequisite is that Chen Mo really has this technique here. The spiritual doctor is also probing Chen Mo's reaction. Chen Mo remained calm on the surface, but felt a little excited inside. He didn't care about treatment techniques or anything. Learn it, it's just a bunch of code anyway. But if we can exchange for good things from the elf tribe, it is definitely a guaranteed profit without losing. Besides, if the spiritual doctor can truly learn the complete set of priest cheating skills, Chen Mo's collaborative enhancement of priest cheating may also be able to be activated, killing two birds with one stone. The spiritual doctor cultivates those skills, works hard to improve their skill levels, and Chen Mo's strength also increases simultaneously. He can also get an additional benefit from the elf tribe, which has no reason to refuse. If you can learn well, I will cooperate unconditionally on my end. Chen Mo is also curious about how people from other worlds can learn the skills and moves on their cheats. It has been so long, and Chen Mo has studied it before, but it has all failed. The cheat skills written by Chen Mo, except for Chen Mo himself who can use them without any problems, others who want to learn really can't learn them. If the elf clan can research it out, Chen Mo really doesn't mind using synergy to enhance multiple cheats. Thank you very much, young master Chen Mo. The spiritual doctor will go and report to the queen now. The spiritual doctor slightly bowed and slowly left, leaving Chen Mo somewhat confused, not fully understanding why the elf clan values their cheating skills so much. Is it just because it dispelled the abnormal aura inside the elf princess's body? What exactly is that aura? Or rather, is it not just the little princess who is haunted by that evil aura? Chen Mo tried hard to recall the scene in the cave at that time, but there seemed to be nothing special about it. It's just a 3-combo therapy, I don't have any other impression. The healing technique restores the body, the purification technique dispels negative states, and the blessing technique restores the state. Isn't this a routine combo for healing? Chen Mo was pleasantly surprised that his 3 skills had attracted the attention of the elf tribe. However, Chen Mo still looks forward to the remuneration of the elf tribe. Your Majesty, Prince Chen Mo has agreed. The spiritual doctor slightly bowed and looked at the elf queen. The elf queen nodded slowly and gestured for the guards to hand over the tray of crystals to the spiritual doctor. Seeing the crystal, the spiritual doctor's eyes narrowed and he said, Your Majesty, is it too childish to hand over the elemental elf summoning technique to humans? Chen Mo's skills are no longer playful when entrusted to the elf tribe. The elf queen spoke softly and calmly asked, looking at the spiritual doctor, You should be very clear about how much our elf tribe has paid to dispel that aura, and Chen Mo is now willing to grant the spell to our elf tribe. This is a manifestation of sincerity. Firstly, Chen Mo is kind to the elf tribe, and secondly, he is willing to grant such a spell to the elf tribe. If the elf tribe cannot show decent sincerity, it is really laughable. Moreover, Chen Mo is indeed not the same group of humans who attacked the elf tribe before. The spiritual doctor fell silent, and the elf tribe even cooperated with humans to dispel the evil aura. As a result, not only did they lose a lot of the elf spring, but the little princess was also almost abducted. Now Chen Mo is willing to exchange, and the elf tribe should indeed show their sincerity. Is it really worth exchanging this elf secret technique for just that technique? Go down, you must learn the technique of dispelling evil aura. Since Chen Mo agreed, it meant he had that kind of technique. Now that we have reached this situation, it's okay to give it a try. The spiritual doctor understands. The spiritual doctor took the elf crystal and quickly left. The elf queen sighed slightly in her heart, not knowing how long the elf tree could last. If Chen Mo's technique is really useful, then even if the elf tribe puts out more chips, it is still worth it. If it doesn't work, let this spell disappear with the elf tribe. It's better to hand it over to someone who is destined. Moreover, the elf queen doesn't believe that Chen Mo can successfully cultivate it. On the other side, Chen Mo was shopping and bought a lot of things. With the gifts bestowed by the elf queen, Chen Mo bought many commonly used items. I bought some long sword weapons and some daily necessities, such as pots and pans. It must be admitted that the forging level of the elf tribe is quite good, much stronger than stone cookware. Unfortunately, there are not many cooking utensils for the elf tribe, and most of them are boiled in water. But this also made Chen Mo very satisfied, practicing elf language while shopping, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Elf Street. The greening rate on both sides of the road is very high, and the road surface is made of stone bricks with no debris, making it look spacious. Half a day later. The elf city gives Chen Mo the feeling of an ancient city with a large population, and the population density is not much lower than that of the earth. Return to the courtyard again. The spiritual doctor was sitting quietly in the hospital, seeming to have been waiting for a long time.